The sun setting behind the Cascade Mountains in Central Oregon as we wrap up day 2 of competition at the Deschutes County Fair and Expo Center. We started this competition with 53 women. We are down to 6 at the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championships. The final 6 women being introduced to the crowd here in Redmond, Oregon, and soon they will face 4 challenges to decide who is the Bouldering Open National Champion. Thanks for being with us here today, everybody. I'm Sean Woodland alongside former U.S. team member Megan Martin. And of course, a national championship is at stake here, but so is an opportunity for these climbers to get one step closer to earning a spot on the U.S. national team overall.
Doing well here for these athletes is so vital because they're trying to get points to then be on the overall national team where they can then go to World Cups this season and compete and then hopefully have a shot at Tokyo in 2020. There
are 4 boulders that await these women, and unlike the other 2 rounds, I should say, they actually get to preview these.
Exactly. The women will have 4 boulder problems and they'll have 4 minutes on each boulder. They won't get to watch each other, but they will get to preview together, and their goal is to get as high as they can on these boulder problems with that 25-point top being where they want to be.
Final 6 women getting set to attack those 4 problems, and coming into the final round, Ashima Shirishi has been near perfect. She has faced 9 total problems through 2 rounds, and she's topped 8 of them.
She has been phenomenal all weekend long, and really good for her after coming off a kind of disappointing competition at the Combined Invitational. So she's been killing it all weekend, and I'm sure she's looking to do well here tonight. And she's been on the podium the last 2 years at Bouldering Nationals.
Shirishi, the top woman out of the semifinal round. Brooke Rabatou was the final woman in, but very well positioned to do very well in this final round.
Definitely a possibility for Brooke Rabatou to be very successful today. She got second at the Combined Invitational, and she showed some very creative climbing today during the semifinal round. Had some unfortunate climbs earlier, but I think it'll push her through to do really well tonight.
The women will go in reverse order based on the standings, meaning that Brooke Rabatou will be first, and Ashima Shirishi, the top qualifier out of the semifinal round, will go last. The climbers are on the floor previewing all the problems. Problem number 1 is first, and we will have it for you when we return to the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championships. The 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship is brought to you by The North Face, inspiring and enabling exploration since 1966. A look at Smith Rock, one of the more famous landmarks in the sport of climbing, considered by many to be the birthplace of the sport itself. The final 6 women are in front of the wall previewing the problems that await them here in the final round. You have been part of this before and been out there previewing problems. What are the things that you're trying to work through in this limited amount of time?
So since the athletes only have since they only have 2 minutes to preview on each boulder problem, the goal is to try to figure out what exactly you're supposed to do to get all the way up to the 25. Sometimes it's a little more obvious. Sometimes you walk away from the preview being like, I actually have no idea what's happening. I think the easiest thing to do is to take it by the zones. As you see, there's the 5 zone, the 10 zone, the 15 zone, and the 25 zone is what the top is. So those zones kind of gear you towards the direction in which you should go while you're on the boulder problem. So a lot of these women are sitting there kind of running it through their heads and with each other. And then they're allowed to touch the start holds only. They can't touch anything with their feet, they can't touch any other holds, but they can all feel the start holds.
All these women are vying for the national championship here, but as we mentioned at the top, climbing is going to be part of the Olympics in 2020. It is a long road to get there, but one of the first big milestones is to qualify for the U.S. national team overall, and those points are at stake here in this event.
Yes, the better that these athletes do here, the more points they will accrue, and then they'll accrue more when they go to sport and speed nationals, hoping to then have enough points overall to be one of the 4 on the overall team. Kyra Condi is the only woman already on the overall team after winning the Combined Invitational.
We started this competition with 53 women as Ashima Shirishi, the top qualifier out of the semifinal round, continues to preview the problems. And we are now down to the final 6.
They're looking at women's number 3 right now. After taking a look at it, this looks like one of the more technical problems within the round. To me, after just taking kind of an overview of all 4 boulder problems, it looks like you have 2 pretty technical climbs and then 2 climbs that are a lot more powerful, one more focused on footwork, I believe, and kind of coordination, and the other one that's powerful, more focused on finger strength and body tension.
And in this round, only 1 woman will be climbing at a time. They will all do problem 1, and then they will all do problem 2. When you're the only person out there in front of this crowd, mentally, how does that affect what you're doing?
It kind of depends on the climbers. Some climbers thrive on being the center of attention. Others are just more in their head and focus on what they're doing. Alex Johnson is one that loves the crowd, loves the cheers. I think she does better when she has the crowd behind her. So I feel like she's always been able to perform really well in a finals round because she loves, you know, that cheering and support from the crowd.
Just saw Margo Hayes as they are now previewing women's problem 4, the final problem of the evening. And that is Alex Johnson.
Definitely one of the trickier problems in the round. It's got a pretty early on either coordination start or maybe there is a static way around it. But a lot of those holds on that boulder problem, you see some shine kind of bouncing off the holds from the light. That's the slippery texture of that dual text hold. So only part of that hold actually has friction. So there's lots of room for these women to slip around as they're trying to find their way up to that 25 hold at the top.
And all 4 of these problems do have those 4 scoring zones, 5, the 10, the 15, and then the final 25-point zone. The higher you get, obviously, the more points that you receive, and you will get penalized 1/10 of a point for every restart you have on the way to your highest point on the wall.
You see Alex Johnson and Claire Burr kind of going over the start. I think they're probably trying to figure out if maybe they can, if they're going to need to jump into it, or if they can press and then have to jump after to get to that second volume. Volumes are those geometric shapes that you see on the wall. Sometimes they're grippy, sometimes they're slippery. There's a couple of the ones on that specific boulder problem where parts of it have friction and parts are the slippery other texture, which from the ground you can't necessarily tell. On some of them it's possible, but sometimes you can't. So there'll be a lot of caution going into certain movements from these women today.
The time is up. The previewing time for the women is over. The athletes not climbing now go backstage, so they do not get to see each other climb. They can't glean anything from another performance from somebody, so going late certainly does not have any advantage.
I think that for a finals round, generally, it's kind of nice to come out early because the one thing about coming out first is everything you do is amazing. Nobody's seen anyone on any of these climbs. So if you're a climber who really thrives from the support of the crowd, it's a great place to start. Whereas when you're in isolation and you're going last, you can just hear people get excited when somebody tops a boulder. Though you can't see it, you can assume they did well. So then there's more added pressure knowing what you maybe need to do in order to, like, hopefully win.
Brooke Rabatou cannot turn around until the 4-minute time clock starts. Look at the crowd gathered here in Redmond, Oregon for the finals of the 2019 Bouldering Open National Championship.
What's really nice about this format too is once each woman is done, then the next one will come out right away. We don't have to wait for the clock. So if Brooke happens to do this boulder within 1 minute and 30 seconds, we're gonna see the next climber come out right away after her instead of having to wait for that clock to count down. They also wait until she's ready to go so she can be like, okay guys, I'm ready. It's just kind of talking to them about that too.
You may begin climbing now.
Here's the first attempt for Brooke Rabatou on problem number 1.
Standing on those small footholds that are also dual textured. Only parts of the hold have friction. Nicely making her way into the 5 and 10 with that small coordination move.
Now has to move over to the right. Make it the left and then up top for that 15-point zone.
Brooke looks very comfortable here. She's very good at mantles, and that's what she has to do as she will press and stand up to get to the 15. Has to make sure she's in the right position.
Rabatou has it. And now she eyes the 25-point zone, looking for a perfect run here on her first attempt.
Some delicate footwork here to get over. She knows she's gonna have to jump to that 25-point hold, but she has to make sure her body's in the right position so she doesn't go flying off of it. Good save there.
Come on, give her some love, crowd.
The crowd getting behind Brooke Rabatou as she's trying to flash problem number 1, get to the top on her very first attempt and earn a perfect 25 points.
Just trying to set up for the jump. She knows every attempt is important.
Right hand is there and slips off, but Rabatou is close, but still plenty of time to go to make another attempt.
Unfortunately, she came up just a little short. Looks like she's gonna have to hop a little bit more. Really good from the start, committed to that coordination double clutch there to get into the 5 and the 10 zone. Set up for the stand-up move to the 25. It looks like she just needed to hop in an upward motion a little more instead of going sideways.
Second attempt for Brooke Rabatou on problem number 1.
Oof. Missing that coordination that time.
Third attempt for Brooke Rabatou on the opening problem.
Able to get into the coordination jump that time. Smooth, just like on her first attempt.
Her 15-point zone is right above her head now.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Back in an area where she's familiar. Needs to fix this just a little bit to make sure she gets high enough onto the 25 to latch it. Taking the time to chalk up. After having her palms all over the 5 and the 10 zone, she needs to make sure she has enough chalk to keep her hands from being too greasy.
Setting up for her attempt to make that 25-point zone.
Trying to find the right balance point here. Gonna go for it.
Just can't quite hold on with the right hand. And with time running down, she's gonna have to hurry to get back up there. This is the 4th attempt for Brooke Rabatou on problem number 1.
10 seconds.
She will not be able to make it to the top, but she does get to that 15-point zone, so good opening effort for Brooke Rabatou on her first of 4 problems here in the final round. And that will bring out Sienna Kopp for her
Climbers
first
may
attempt at
begin
problem number
climbing
1.
now.
Just taking a moment to brush the holds there.
First attempt for Sienna Kopp on problem number 1.
Really smart making use of that corner there to not have to do the double clutch. Right into the mantle.
And quickly to that 15-point zone.
Slab is definitely an area where she's strongest in terms of angles when it comes to bouldering. Slab is this angle where it's greater than vertical. You can almost stand there. Oh.
And Kopp had her right hand on that 25-point zone and just could not get her left hand on as well. In order for it to count at the top, you need control with both hands.
Sienna Kopp was able to get up the boulder pretty quickly, went for that 25, almost held it. Beautiful dismount nonetheless.
Second attempt for Sienna Kopp on problem number 1.
Using really smart beta here. The way in which she did that move, she avoids the double clutch. That is another way to get to the 5 and the 10, so she makes it more static. Getting back to this position where we saw her on her first attempt. Trying to chalk up. She needs every bit of friction to get to that 25.
Right hand is there and not able to save it.
An unfortunate foot slip on her way to the 25. She was setting up for the jump, and as she set up, she kind of just fumbled her feet before she fully got to the 25 hold, making her lose her balance and kind of fly off the boulder. Taking a few more seconds to brush.
Third attempt for Sienna Kopp
1 minute remaining.
on problem number 1.
Getting back into the 5 and 10 zone pretty quickly. She has enough time here, but she definitely still needs to be cautious since she is on such a delicate angle.
Quickly back to the 15-point zone. Now trying to get a hold of that 25.
Needs to execute here to get to the 25. She's come close.
Right hand, and she is able to almost save it. Close, but not quite for Sienna Kopp. Fourth attempt for Sienna Kopp on problem number 1.
Sienna Kopp is running out of time. Was so close to sticking the 25 on her previous attempt. She's just trying to get back up there. She knows she can do it. She needs 2 hands to control the 25 in order to get the points. Going for it to beat the buzzer.
And once again, Kopp is close, but just cannot secure a hold on that 25-point zone, but a great effort for her. Kopp will exit the floor, and Margo Hayes will enter.
Margo Hayes.
Margo Hayes has been in the bouldering finals and nationals quite a few times, so this is a familiar place for her. Taking a moment to brush the holds off, as every ounce of friction is necessary. Also really important to brush the feet. The shoe rubber definitely leaves some grease on the foothold, so you want to make sure not only to have the best opportunity to succeed with handholds, but footholds as well.
Margo Hayes on her first attempt on problem number 1.
Able to get to the 5 and the 10 with ease. She's extremely flexible. Nice work on the mantle.
Hayes has secured the 15-point zone. Now trying to make that leap up to the 25-point zone. Right hand is there, and Hayes just can't hang on.
Kind of an aggressive slip there from Margo Hayes. It looked like she didn't have her right foot out enough on that blue volume, and so she just kind of had to walk too aggressively and slipped as she was trying to control her momentum. Since she was able to get up so quickly on her first attempt, she has plenty of time to kind of correct that minor mistake she had in her attempt to get to the 25 hold.
Second attempt for Margo Hayes on problem number 1.
Smoothly getting into that 5 and 10 zone section again.
You saw that 0 wingspan. It means that her wingspan is equal to her height.
All right, crowd, let's juice her up a little
Now
bit.
to the 15-point zone for Margo Hayes.
Needs to set her feet up properly to get in the right body position. Looks like she's going to go. It should look like she was thinking of going a little bit more dynamically. Yep, she's going to try.
Hayes with the right hand there, and 25 for Margo Hayes as she gets to the top on her second attempt. Margo Hayes, the first woman to top problem number 1. 3 climbers are left on this initial problem. We'll have them next. Three climbers down, 3 to go on women's problem number 1, and Margo Hayes just became the first woman to get to the top of that initial problem, and she earns 24.9 points as it took her 2 attempts to get to that 25-point zone. Brooke Rabitou and Sienna Kopp, the other 2 women who have gone on problem number 1. Alex Johnson now for her initial ascent.
Just taking a moment to brush those footholds and starting holds as they are going to get the most chalked up and greased up before she tries her first attempt. Every attempt counts.
Alex Johnson, her first attempt on women's problem number 1.
Good start. Trying to figure out how to get into the 5 and the 10 here. Unfortunate little misread of the body position there, which she knows as she blurted out an uh-oh.
Second attempt for Alex Johnson on problem number 1, an athlete whose wingspan is 2 inches bigger than her height of 5'9".
Come on now.
Just trying to find that right body position. Ooh, smart use. Not exactly what I think the route setters intended, but one of those moves where the more you try it, the more you can get the feel for it with your body. She's looking a little confused, just looking at the clock for a second and trying to figure out how to fix
She might
what
need you,
she's trying
crowd.
to
Give her a
do.
little something.
Third attempt for Alex Johnson on problem number 1. And she gets to that 10-point zone and now trying to work her way up to the 15-point hold.
She looked a little uncomfortable trying to get that second hand on, but it was a really good save. She had to flex her shoulders to really stay on the 5 and the 10. Definitely in a more comfortable position here. At 5'9", this move should be a little more easy for her, though the start was a little bunchy for her being so tall.
Johnson trying to set herself for that move to that final 25-point hold.
Nice save there, little foot slip. Still needs to stay calm. Plenty of time to get this done.
Come on now, you got this.
Just needs to trust her feet.
And another slip for Alex Johnson.
Very unfortunate foot slip there. The feet are definitely slippery, although they're bigger. They're very slippery, so precision is so necessary in order to be successful on a boulder problem like this.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Fourth attempt for Alex Johnson on women's problem number 1. 29 years old out of St. Paul, Minnesota, and a wingspan that is 2 inches longer than her height of 5'9".
Able to get back into that 5 and 10 section that gave her a bit of trouble on her previous attempts.
Come on.
Trying to get out of this mantle.
And now looking to secure that final 25-point hold. Right hand is there, she is steady, and Alex Johnson has topped women's problem 1.
Really nice top there from Alex Johnson. The beginning was a little bunchy for her, but definitely more comfortable for her at the top of the climb. She was able to actually use that wingspan that she has to stay on the 15 as she latched the 25 making it a little bit easier to control her body and not fly off the boulder. Great start for Alex Johnson.
After some early struggles on problem one, Alex Johnson becomes the second woman to get to the top. Claire Burfine will be next up.
You may begin climbing now.
Claire just taking a few seconds to brush the holds, as we will see most of the women do. It's really important to get all of the chalk and the shoe rubber off of the holds so you have an optimal chance at each attempt.
Claire Burfine's first attempt on problem number one.
Another one of our taller climbers, and it looks like this section at the beginning is a little tricky when you are taller, though the end is a little bit more comfortable for you. So it kind of evens out there nicely through the 5 and 10 zone.
Burfine secures the 15, and now looking to make the move to the 25-point zone. If she can make it on this attempt, she'll receive 25 points, a perfect score, known as a flash, getting to the top on your very first attempt.
Just trying to find the right body position, trying to be very delicate so she doesn't have an unfortunate slip. If she could flash her, it'd be really big for her.
Right hand is on, cannot secure it.
Almost able to hold it there.
Excellent first burn by Claire.
Was close to being able to keep her hand on the 15. She tried really hard, but she kind of popped off the 15 and then had to pop her foot over, and the swing was just a little too big to hold, but really good first attempt, so she should be able to fix her mistake with plenty of time to get this boulder done.
Two women so far have gotten to the top of this problem. Burfine looking to become the third. Second attempt for Claire Burfine on women's problem number one.
Nicely into the 5 and 10 zone. Trying to get through this mantle.
Burfine, 20 years old, out of Plano, Texas. A wingspan 3 inches longer than her height.
With that wingspan, she should be able to span this move. Interesting that she does not have a chalk bag when she has to be on these really tiny holds. She's trying to find that right foot placement and hoping to control her body this time.
And a slip for Burfine. You need both hands on that final zone in order to get credit for it.
Sometimes difficult when you're trying to focus on looking at the 25. You see she's looking and then her foot kind of slips. You have to make sure you're paying attention to every part of your body so you don't let something kind of fall out of place, and I think that's what we saw there. Claire Burfine a little too focused on getting her hand on 25 and her foot was able to slip.
Third attempt for Claire Burfine on problem one. Fourth attempt for Claire Burfine on problem number one.
Come on, Claire Burfine. Give a little more. She needs you right
Fifth
now.
attempt for Claire Burfine
You're still in
on
the game, Claire.
problem
Come on.
one.
Come on, Claire. You are still.
Claire's definitely feeling a little rushed by the clock right now, trying to find that foot to get to the 5 and the 10. She's going to need to move quickly in order to get back up and have a shot at topping this boulder problem.
She has the 15. One more move remains to get to the 25 and just 7 seconds to go.
Standing up.
And Claire Burfine beats the clock and tops problem one.
Claire Burfine was feeling a little rushed. She was feeling a little rushed from the clock, only had a few seconds left. Goes for it with just 4 seconds left, gets one hand on, and quickly is able to get 2 hands on, able to keep that hand on the 15, which kept popping off on her earlier attempts.
Just a quick little repair, quick staple here and there.
Crew doing a little work on the wall, fixing the tape there on the 10-point zone. Claire Burr now the third woman to top problem number 1. Margo Hayes and Alex Johnson, the other two. And Ashima Shirishi will be up next.
Just stapling that tape into the wall a bit so that it doesn't fall off.
Standings through 5 climbers with Shirishi left to go. It's Margo Hayes with a 0.2 of a point lead over Alex Johnson, as Hayes only took 2 attempts to get to the top of problem 1. Alex Johnson needing 4, and it was Claire Burr who needed 5. Rabitou and Kopp both getting as high as the 15-point zone.
Ashima Shirishi taking a few moments to brush these holds as 5 other girls have been on them now. She needs to make sure she has the best possible shot at being successful on this boulder problem.
She has faced 9 total problems in this competition. She has topped 8 of them so far. First attempt for Ashima Shirishi on problem 1. Wingspan equal to her 5'2" height.
Nice movement into that 5 zone. Actually hasn't touched the 10 zone yet, so she's looking to just skip it.
Won't matter, she has the 15 securely in her left hand. Now eyeing that 25-point zone.
Ashima is such a very technical climber, looking comfortable on the slab always.
If she can make it to the top on this attempt, she'll get a perfect score of 25 points, known as a flash.
She's just trying to figure out if she should go more dynamically or static.
Right hand was there, but Shirishi can't hold it.
Very nice first throw by Ashima.
Really good first attempt by Ashima Shirishi. She was going back and forth with whether she should go dynamically or static, chose the dynamic method, the quicker, more all points off method, less in control, but she needs a little height to get to that 25 zone.
Second attempt for Ashima Shirishi on problem 1.
Decides to use the 10 zone on her second attempt.
Ashima looking so smooth.
Trying to get back into this position to set her up for the little hop to the 25 zone. As another one of the smaller climbers, this move is going to be a little more difficult, a little less in control.
Ashima Shirishi will tie for the lead if she can hang on, but cannot secure both hands on the 25-point zone. Third attempt for Ashima Shirishi on problem number 1.
She definitely has plenty of time to get back up. She climbed so smoothly through this beginning section. Just really needs to figure out how she can get high enough and in control to latch that 25 zone hold with 2 hands. It's a very small hold that she's trying to grab.
Come on, Ashima, give what they want.
Shirishi leaping for the 25. The right hand is there again, but just can't secure the grip and needs to get back on the wall quickly. Fourth attempt for Ashima Shirishi on problem 1.
She's definitely running out of time, trying to hopefully get a buzzer beater send here.
All right, Ashima.
Really going for that top.
You're gonna do it. Do it now.
Just about 10 seconds left. She's gonna have to go.
You gotta believe, Ashima.
Last attempt for Shirishi to get to 25. The right hand just slipping off, so it won't happen for Ashima Shirishi, but a valiant effort in the process.
And for
Women's problem 1 is down. 3 climbers top it. 3 problems remain here at the 2019 Bouldering Open National Championship. 3 problems remain for the women in the final round here of the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship. And it's Margo Hayes who, on her second attempt on problem 1, tops that boulder, receives 24.9 points. She is in the lead. Rabatou, Kopf, and Shirishi all made it as high as the 15-point zone on their first tries. They are tied for 4th place right now.
We just saw a very technical boulder. We're about to get to a very different style of boulder on an overhang, which is a steeper climb. Going to require more powerful movement and finger strength to make it through, as well as body control.
Climbers, you may begin climbing now.
Brooke Rabatou is up first on problem 2.
Just taking a moment to look at the boulder problem. The women won't take as long to look at each problem as they did in the other round, since they did have a preview, but they still want to kind of refresh their brains with what they need to do.
First attempt for Brooke Rabatou on problem number 2, coming off a 15-point performance on problem number 1.
Definitely needs to get a top here. Gets into the 5 zone pretty easily. Style of climbing that Brooke is very good at. She has extremely strong fingers, and she can be super powerful. Even though she's small, she can jump really well too. Trying to set up for this move to the 15.
Rabatou secures that 15-point zone and now needs to move over to the 25-point zone on her left. Trying to get a perfect score here and top this boulder on her first attempt. And Brooke Rabatou has her left hand there. She needs to match with her right. And it's a flash for Brooke Rabatou, 25 points as she gets to the top on her first and only attempt on women's problem 2.
Really nice climbing here from Brooke Rabatou. Extremely smart to use that high foot, showcasing her flexibility and power, and then overall finger strength as she latches that 15 zone and then smoothly kind of floats out to the 25 for a flash and a top on this boulder.
25 huge points for Brooke Rabatou, who was able to top problem number 1. Sienna Kopf is up next. She also received 15 points on problem number 1, so needs to make up some ground here.
Climbers, you may begin climbing now.
Sienna taking a few moments to brush the volumes, which are those geometric shapes that you see on the boulder problem with actual climbing holds attached to them.
First attempt for Sienna Kopf on problem number 2.
Unfortunate early fall there for Sienna Kopf. These steeper climbs are not exactly where she shines. She's definitely capable of getting through this boulder, but the slab is where she...
Second attempt for Sienna Kopf on women's 2.
Just trying to figure out exactly what body position that Sienna needs to be in order to make her way to that pocket hold, which is the number 5 zone. Taking a few minutes to brush. Pretty powerful move here. It's interesting to see the different styles that climbers excel at.
Third attempt for Sienna Kopf on women's problem 2. 15 points on problem 1. They're currently tied for 4th place.
Able to use a heel hook here to try and work her way through. Got her foot on the tiny foothold that blends into the boulder. On that 5 zone now. Trying to get to the 10.
Kopf's right hand slipping as she reached for that 10-point zone.
She was able to get up into the 5. Found the small, she got a toe hook there and was trying to get to the 10 and just came up a little short, but she's now figured out how to start this boulder problem, so she should be able to get back up there and give it another solid go.
Fourth attempt for Sienna Kopf on women's problem 2. 15 points on problem 1. Looking to get to the top here as she is tied for 4th place in the overall standings with 2 problems remaining after this and another slip as she reaches for that 10-point zone.
It's a better attempt for Sienna Kopf there, kind of setting up to punch out to that number 10 zone a little more because she came up short the first time, but unfortunately she actually missed the hold, kind of overshot it, so she just needs a little more accuracy.
5th attempt for Sienna Kopf on women's problem 2.
You have 1 minute
Tiny little foot slip there.
All right, CC. We all know you got what it takes. Come on.
Attempt number 6 for Sienna Kopf on women's 2.
Back in it, trying to get to the 5 zone. Really needs to set up to kind of jump out a little bit. Really use her legs to punch out to that 10, able to do it.
And Kopf is there, and now still plenty of time to top this boulder. Can't get the grip on that 15-point zone.
Every point counts, so being able to latch the 10 on that attempt is a really big plus for Sienna Kopf.
Kopf has decided that's as high as she is going to get on problem 2.
Was able to set up a little bit better here as she tried to kind of jump out to the 10. Perfect accuracy this time. Wasn't quite able to get to the 15. Came up a little short and a little too wild on the swing.
Margo Hayes on the floor now. Margo, one of 3 women to top problem number 1. Did that on her 2nd attempt.
Margo is definitely a technical climber. Also is able to do a lot of the more powerful moves. Good on this angle. Pretty well-rounded climber. So we should see something pretty good coming from Margo on this boulder problem.
First attempt for Margo Hayes on women's problem 2. Coming into this problem in first place overall after receiving a 24.9 on problem 1.
Nice movement into that 5 zone. Looking pretty smooth here, not showing much of a struggle setting up for the jump.
She has the 10-point zone and now trying to work her way up to 15. Locks it in with her left hand, and now over to 25 is Margo Hayes, looking for a perfect score of 25 points. If she can get over to her left and get both hands on that zone and show control. Left hand is there. The right hand is there, and Margo Hayes flashes problem 2, a perfect score of 25 points. Margo Hayes, her 2nd straight top. 4 climbers remain on women's problem 2. Halfway through the field here in the final round of the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship. Margo Hayes, with a perfect score of 25 points, has the lead over Brooke Rabitou by 9, and Sienna Kopf is the only other woman who's gone on problem number 2, as Alex Johnson gets set to take on her 2nd problem of this final round.
Alex brushing the holds here with that long stick brush that you can use to reach the higher holds, and then she brought her own brush to brush off those lower holds, because the handheld brush is definitely better for brushing holds, but of course you can't touch any holds past the start hold, otherwise it's an attempt, so she needs that stick brush.
First attempt for Alex Johnson on women's 2, was able to get to the top of problem number 1 in her 4th attempt.
Little slip there by Alex Johnson. I expect her to do well on this boulder. Once she gets into the pocket, she has extremely good finger strength. That kind of powerful move she's on right now is the only part that should give her any trouble, but I think she'll be able to get through it.
Second attempt for Alex Johnson on women's problem 2. looking to top the boulder for the second straight time.
Getting her right foot here, which puts her in a better position to now go into the 5 zone. This jump out to the 10 should be no problem for her. Does it smoothly, setting up for this barn door move on the 15. Able to hold it with her foot on.
Johnson trying to work her way over to the final 25-point zone. Needs both hands on it in order for it to count. Gets the left hand solidly in place. The right hand is there, and for the second straight time, Alex Johnson makes it to the top of the problem.
A little frustrated with her foot slip at the beginning. Really nice climbing. Sticks this cross no problem, using her hip mobility to stay close to the wall and set her up nicely to get into the 25 over here. Gets one hand on and just has to match her feet, putting both feet on the tiny little foothold and getting 2 hands onto the finish hold.
Just 2 attempts for Alex Johnson to get to the top of problem 2, and Claire Burfind will be up next.
Climbers, you may begin climbing now.
Burfind also able to top problem number 1, did that on her 5th try. First attempt for Claire Burfind on women's problem number 2. Looking for her second straight top after getting 24.6 points on problem 1 and now an early slip.
It's kind of tricky at the beginning where exactly you want to put your feet. Is kind of different for each person. It looks like it's best to get your right foot on the tiny foothold that is also black, so blends in with the volume, that geometric shape that is on the wall.
Second attempt for Claire Burfind on women's problem 2. Looking to add to her 24.6 point total.
Able to get her right foot on there and easily match the hold and into that 5 zone pocket hold that she has only 2 fingers in.
Oh, too easy.
Setting up for this big barn door move. Sticks it, even though her feet come out.
Now Burfind needs to adjust and get herself over to the 25-point zone.
Easily moving through that cross section.
Left hand is there, and now she needs to match with her right for it to count. No problem, and Claire Burfind tops problem number 2.
Feeling good.
As she sets up to go to that 10 hold, she gets her foot on and kind of hops to the 10. And then this move to the 15 creates a barn door, as it's such a huge cross, so you kind of fly out like a barn door. And her feet actually come off, and she's still able to hold it using all of her body tension and setting up to get through the rest of the boulder problem with ease. Good hip mobility, staying close into the wall to make it to the 25 with no problem.
Ashima Shirishi will be the final woman to take on women's problem 2. She was unable to reach the top on women's problem 1. So needs a strong performance here to stay in the mix to the top of the podium.
Needs a strong performance, but I have no doubt that she will be able to get through this boulder on her first try. That might be an aggressive prediction, but I really think she will be able to do it.
First attempt for Ashima Shirishi on problem number 2, trying to improve on that 15 points that she earned on problem number 1, unable to get to the top of that initial problem, and looking very at ease here as she works her way to that 10-point zone.
This is the only move that could be a little bit of a problem, as she's a bit shorter, but she has really strong fingers, so nails the barn door with the legs swinging out, no problem.
Shirishi looking for a perfect score of 25 as she eyes that final zone.
Looking super casual as she gets one hand on the 25.
Needs the right hand there to match, and Ashima Shirishi flashes problem 2, getting to the top on her first try, a perfect score of 25 points. 2 problems down, 2 remain as Ashima Shirishi comes up with her first flash of the finals. Halfway through the women's final round, 2 problems are down, just 2 remain, and it is Margo Hayes on top of the leaderboard, just ahead of Alex Johnson and Claire Burfine. Ashima Shirishi, with that flash, moves into 5th, and Brooke Rabatou is tied with her. Both of them tied for 4th place with 2 problems remaining. Brooke Rabatou will be up first on women's problem 3.
Brooke Rabatou taking a quick look at women's number 3. Another more technical boulder problem with a pretty committing final move. That'll be really interesting to see these women on.
First attempt for Brooke Rabatou on problem 3, coming off that perfect run on problem number 2 that earned her 25 points and tied her for 4th place overall.
Really tricky start there, but not tricky enough for Brooke Rabatou, having to start with that toe hook with her right foot. And she loves a good toe hook, so she's just trying to make her way into this giant half sphere volume. She's on the 10 hold, able to press into it now. Showing so much body control and power and body tension as she blindly reaches down to that other volume with her left hand, using all of her flexibility here and every ounce of tension to stay on this climb right now.
Rabatou trying to get to that 15-point zone that is up and to her left.
Brooke Rabatou showed us some crazy moves in the semifinal round when it came to her flexibility and body tension and all-around body control, as she does it again right here with a quick foot move up onto that volume as she gets to the 15. Questionable whether they'll give her control of that.
She did have her hand on it, but not for very long. But now she's trying to work her way across to that final 25-point hold. And if she were to get there, she then reestablishes control on 15. This would be another perfect run.
Still questionable whether she got the 15, but it looks like she's going to need to use it again. So she should be able to confirm that she gets the control before she tries to go for this committing move to the 25. Just trying to find the right body position. I believe you're gonna want to try to get the palm out, but I think she's gonna try to stand up on this left foot and reach her right foot up to get to the 25. Now she's looking like she's gonna set up for the jump. Here she goes.
Makes the jump and just cannot hang on. And she took a lot of time to get there, but still has more than a minute for another attempt.
Extremely close, gets the one hand, but not able to get that other hand up there to control the swing. Doesn't have a lot of time.
Second attempt for Brooke Rabatou on women's 3.
It's a very taxing beginning of this climb. She was able to get through it on her first try.
And she slips, reaching for the 10-point zone, and now time really becoming a factor.
Isn't really enough time.
Rabatou calls it. She was able to get to the 15-point zone on her first attempt. She will exit the floor.
Really good first attempt there by Brooke Rabatou.
Here comes Sienna Kopp, who is in 6th place overall, still looking for her first top of this final round. And only 2 boulders remain. So she's running out of time to get it and get herself into contention for a spot on the podium.
Taking a moment to brush the holds.
First attempt for Sienna Kopp on women's 3.
She threw that toe in for the toe hook with her right foot, she had to start on both holds with the pink pieces of tape before she could actually move. So she had to control that start. She's already through the 5, up into the 10, working in this press section.
Sienna Kopf, her first attempt on women's 3, moving past the 10-point zone and now trying to get a hold of that 15-point hold and can't quite get there.
Little foot slip there, but in a very good position to get back up to that part of the boulder problem, as she has plenty of time left and she figured out the beginning pretty quickly. I think she's going to need to be in a little bit of a different body position in order to establish on that volume that she slipped off with her left foot on her first attempt. Just taking a few moments to breathe and look at the boulder. Just saw our judges that are behind her watching her every move, making sure that they mark down every attempt properly.
Second attempt for Sienna Kopf on women's problem 3. Looking for her first top of this final round.
Back through to the 5 and the 10. Gonna walk her way underneath this half sphere volume hold. Lots of pressing and body tension. Little slip again.
Yeah, you're still in. You're still in, CC.
Kopf going back to the brush as she gets set for a third attempt. Remember, you get penalized 1/10 of a point for every additional attempt it takes you to get to the highest point on the wall.
I don't know if y'all can hear it from where you're standing. Cece's up there psyching herself up a little bit. I want you to psych her up too.
Third attempt for Sienna Kopf on women's 3.
Trying to get back up to the position she was in on her earlier attempts. Getting close to the clock. Countdown of 1 minute. It's like
You have 1 minute remaining.
Another slip for Kopf, now inside a minute.
Come on, you got all the time you need.
Here's the fourth attempt for Sienna Kopf on women's problem 3.
getting back up into the 10 zone where she presses up against the sphere. Not able to get there.
Fifth attempt for Sienna Kopf on women's 3.
Running out of time here, trying to make her way to the 15 zone at least, because 10 is currently her high point. Getting into that 10 zone, pressing up into the sphere, what could be called the Atlas boulder, as she looks like she's pressing up, holding the world on her shoulders.
Just can't make it over to that 15-point zone. CC Kopf will leave the floor. Still looking for her first top of this final round, and she will only have one more problem in which to get it. Margo Hayes is up next, has topped both the problems she has faced and flashed problem 2.
Margo is really good at figuring out her way through funky climbing, and I think that this boulder problem could be considered to be full of funky, not obvious movement. She's also a very good sport climber, has a lot of endurance, and in sport climbing, you're doing so many moves at a time, so you get really good at becoming calm and working your way through moves without being frazzled, and Margo does this so well.
Margo Hayes, our overall leader after problem number 2 with her first ascent here on problem 3.
Easily stepping up into the 10 zone. Gonna have to get into that press position. Slowly walking her feet, because even though those footholds are big, they are slippery. Really pushing her hips into the wall to stay in control. slips out, unfortunately.
Still plenty of time in this 4-minute window for Margo Hayes to make another attempt. She has topped both of the problems that she has faced so far.
Just taking a few minutes to look at it and really make sure that she doesn't waste an attempt for not looking fully at what is around her and kind of figuring it out.
Overall leader after 2 problems, Margo Hayes, her 2nd attempt here on problem number 3.
Getting back up into that 10 zone where she has to start to press. Looking at that hold, the white hold on top, which I believe is for later, but kind of checking it out. Good save there. Just trying to figure out how she can get out of this position. Really having to press her face into that sphere volume. Gets her foot up, putting her in a better position to reach out to this volume hold out left.
Come on, stay in.
Another foot slip there.
Yeah, she needs a little bit.
1.5 minutes to go in her 4-minute window.
Just because the climbing holds are bigger doesn't mean they're always easier to stand on. Those sloping holds can be extremely slippery, and you have to make sure you're pushing enough into them to stay in control of your feet as you inch your way to the left on that boulder.
Margo Hayes, the overall leader after 2 problems. This is her 3rd attempt on problem number 3, looking to make it to the top for the 3rd straight time.
Getting into the 15 would definitely help her. The 10 is currently her high point. Going for a little bit of different way this time. Changing her mind, bringing that left foot back down. Really just needs to find a way to get her hand on that left volume, but struggling to get out of this press. That looks super uncomfortable. Got her foot up.
Come on.
Margo Hayes just can't make it happen, and she's going to call it quits. So for the first time in the final round, Margo Hayes cannot get to the top of a problem. 3 climbers down, 3 remain here on women's problem number 3. The 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship is brought to you by The North Face, inspiring and enabling exploration since 1966. That is the cabin of one Rooster Cogburn, the character played by John Wayne in the Western True Grit. And it is going to take some true grit for a woman to get to the top of women's problem 3. We have yet to see a climber do that. 3 have attempted, none have made it, and now it is Alex Johnson's turn. Standings after problem 2 and halfway into problem 3. So Margo Hayes has made it through problem 3, although she did not top it. So right now she has the lead over Brooke Rabitou by 4.9 points. Alex Johnson trying to close that gap if she can get to that 15-point zone, and has a chance to possibly take the overall lead if she can get to the top of this problem.
All right, Alex, show us the way.
Second attempt for Alex Johnson on problem number 3, and she's having trouble just getting started here.
Definitely having a little trouble establishing on the start holds. Her body keeps falling out a little too much.
Third attempt for Alex Johnson here on women's problem 3. able to get to the top of both problems 1 and 2.
Alex was just able to find a better way to approach the start of this boulder problem, now making her way into the 10. Now needs to press into this sphere, half sphere volume. Just, you know, carrying the world on her shoulders here. The Atlas boulder, as we'd like to call it. Nicely making it through to the other side. Getting her right foot up, and now she should be able to press into the volume.
If she can make it over to that 15-point zone, she will take the top spot on the leaderboard with 2 climbers remaining here on problem 3.
We just need to see if she can get her foot up onto where her hand is, trying to figure out how she can. Good flip with her right hand to make it into the 15. Don't think she'll get credit for it there, so she'll need to definitely try and put her hand on it again to use it. That should be control of the 15 zone now.
Alex Johnson looking to move into the top spot on the overall leaderboard, getting to the 15-point zone, and now she's got to get over to the 25-point zone if she wants to top this problem and keep her streak alive here in the finals.
She can see the 25. She's kind of staring it down, trying to figure out how she can press into this right hand. Definitely wants to stay on that hold.
Left hand is there, can't get the right hand, and Johnson falls off. So close for Alex Johnson, trying to become the first woman to top this problem.
Alex Johnson was able to get into a position we haven't seen. She jumped for the 25, almost held the swing and just lost it at the last second. Not sure if there's enough time for her to get all the way back up there again, but she's gonna go for it.
Final attempt for Alex Johnson here on women's problem 3.
Really needs to move quickly here, and she knows it. Unfortunately, it's just not enough time.
Won't get to the top, but she will find herself on top of the overall standings with 2 climbers remaining here on women's problem 3. 1 problem remains after that.
Definitely a heartbreaker.
Claire Burfine congratulating Alex Johnson
She can tell just by the sound of y'all's
as
voices.
Burfine is set to go
Don't matter, you know.
on her 3rd problem of the final round.
Climbing now.
Claire stepping up to the start holds, giving them a good brush to make sure they're at the optimal friction level for her attempt. Running through the boulder problem a little bit more. Definitely one of the more confusing boulders of the round so far, so it's always good to take a second look.
First attempt for Claire Burfine on women's problem 3, trying to become the first woman to top this boulder.
Minor issues with the start. She almost fell out, but was able to save it with some good showcasing of her body control. Getting into this press, which we've only seen a couple climbers be able to come out of.
And Burfine is off. Still plenty of time.
She had a little bit of a fumble with her body position in the press. Enough time to definitely change her approach to that section of the boulder problem. Earlier, I was a little worried that maybe there was a height issue here with maybe some of the climbers being a little too tall for getting through this press, but Alex Johnson just proved that wrong. So definitely possible here for Claire Burfine. It's another attempt for Claire Burfine as she falls out, trying to establish on the start. When all 4 points leave the ground, that counts as an attempt, even if you're not even able to establish on the start. So Claire has lost a couple attempts without making any progress on the boulder, which is definitely not what she wants to be doing in this finals round.
Burfine solid so far, topping both problems 1 and 2. Running into some trouble here on problem 3.
Get soaked. Come on.
Fourth attempt for Claire Burfine on problem number 3.
Able to establish on this attempt. Looks like she may have forgotten what she did on her previous attempt, having a hard time getting into the 10 where she's been on a previous attempt.
Burfine is struggling here on problem 3.
As the clock counts down, sometimes you kind of start thinking about a few different things, and it's kind of hard to remember what you did on a previous attempt.
You have 1 minute remaining.
There you go. 1 minute.
Fifth attempt for Claire Burfine on problem 3. Solid so far, topping both problems 1 and 2.
There probably won't be enough time for her to top this boulder problem, since the top of this boulder is pretty involved, but the 10 is her high point, so if she can just get to the 15, she'll increase her points for this round, and that's really important because with these climbers, everyone's so close, but not on that attempt.
Burfine's not going to make it over to the 15 as she is saluted by the crowd here in Redmond, Oregon, and she will leave the floor, and that will make way for Ashima Shirishi, the final climber to take on women's problem 3.
The judge, that means here comes.
Women's number 3 is a boulder problem that I think will suit Ashima very well. She's very good at finding the right body movement in order to be successful. She can get herself into crazy positions that you wouldn't have even thought of, and then she can get herself out of them. So since this is a pretty involved boulder problem, I think she has a good chance of being successful in figuring out a way to do it. We've yet to see a woman top it, so.
First attempt for Ashima Shirishi on problem 3. Had a perfect run on problem 2, flashing that boulder. She got to the top on her first and only attempt, 25 points. If she gets to the top on problem 3, she would be the overall leader with just 1 problem remaining.
A lot of times you see her showcase her flexibility in her hips and her legs, but pressing into that 10 zone, she just showed a lot of shoulder flexibility, able to just kind of rock in and stand up underneath it. Gets her foot over on the left volume, just needs to bring her hand in over that way as well. Able to stand up here.
Ashima Shirishi trying to get to that 15-point zone.
She's in a really good position, trying to use the hold. No one has been able to top this boulder problem yet. She's just trying to set herself up in the right position. This is still her first attempt. So she's trying to make it as efficient as possible.
Clear control with her left hand on the 15-point zone, so she will get credit for that. Now the question is, can she make it to that 25-point zone?
She's gonna need to put her right palm on that white little screw-on hold that is on the sphere volume to press. It may be a little far for her, so she might try just pressing here and jumping, see if she can get it done.
Shirishi goes for it, and she has it! Ashima Shirishi flashes problem 3, and she is your new overall leader.
Such a delicate situation. She wasn't able to reach out to that other hold where she should palm, so she went 2 hands, which was extremely risky, but able to control the swing and make it a top.
Clutch performance from Ashima Shirishi. 25 points, a perfect score on women's 3, as she is the only woman to get to the top of that problem, and now has moved into the top of the overall leaderboard. One problem remains in the final round of the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship, and it's Ashima Shirishi on top of the overall leaderboard after back-to-back flashes on problems 2 and 3, but she's trying to hold off Alex Johnson on problem number 4.
We just saw the women on a pretty technical boulder problem that was on a pretty vertical angle, and now we are going to make our way back to a steeper angle where the women will have to have a lot of core intensive movements, lots more swinging, not a lot of time to think.
Brooke Rabatou will be up first on the 4th and final problem of this final round.
Another one of the boulder problems that isn't as obvious as to what you should do. Oftentimes you spend some time looking at it, and then at a certain point you just have to get on and feel the movement.
That entire leaderboard can change right here. This boulder right in front of you will determine the champion.
First attempt for Brooke Rabatou on the 4th and final problem, looking for second top.
Nice use of the toe hook there at the start of this boulder problem. Little jump for Brooke Rabatou, but holding the swing really well, showcasing how powerful this boulder is just from the start. Able to get onto that 5 zone, using her toes to keep her sucked in. She loves toe hooking, so she's in a very comfortable position. That position is not comfortable for every climber, but for Brooke Rabatou, she feels pretty at home there. Trying to set up for the release to swing into the number 10 zone.
Rabatou can't hold on.
Comes up a little short there. It might be possible for her to move her feet in to the volume that was in between where she was toe hooking. We'll have to see if she tries something different on her next attempt.
Second attempt for Brooke Rabatou on problem number 4. She was able to top problem 2 and scored 15 points each on problems 1 and 3.
Looks like she's trying to set up a little differently on this attempt. Leaving that foot free so maybe she can bring it in. Going back to the toe hooks. Gonna try to release her feet here. Oh, maybe not. Looks like she's gonna try what she did on her first attempt and swing a little closer.
Can't secure the hold with her left hand as she was going for that 10-point zone.
Looks like she just needs a little bit more power to create a little more of a swing that brings her up into the 10. She's coming up a little short right now. She's in a very extended position currently, so I think it's hard to generate power from that position in order to get to the 10. Plenty of time as she moves through these opening moves quite quickly.
Let's see it go round 2.
Attempt number 3 for Brooke Rabatou on problem 4.
Gets to that pinch hold, which is a very powerful move. The more she tries, the more exhausted she's getting. Just 3 fingers on this next pinch, trying to set up to get to the 10. Really needs to generate some power here in order to get into that number 10 zone hold.
The crowd behind Brooke Rabatou, but it is not enough to get her to that 10-point zone.
Got her fingers in there a little more that time. Just coming up a tiny bit short again.
30 seconds remaining. Attempt number 4 for Brooke Rabatou on the 4th and final problem.
She's looking a little fatigued.
This is attempt number 5 for Rabatou, and she is just out of gas. She will thank the crowd, and they will thank her for her effort, and Brooke Rabatou's competition is done.
Really good climbing from Brooke Rabatou in this entire round. Unfortunately, I don't think everything clicked the way she wanted it to, but she did it with style and a smile.
I don't think that's gonna cut it, boys and girls. I said, hey, come
Sienna
see
Kopp onto the floor for her final problem of the competition.
Sienna grabbing that stick brush to reach those higher holds and able to brush off the chalk that's there so she can have enough friction to stay on the boulder.
First attempt for Sienna Kopf on problem 4. Has yet to top a problem in this final round and would love to close things out getting to the top here.
Nice use of the toe hook for the start. Able to reach to that pinch hold with her feet staying on the boulder. She's a little bit taller, so her reach is to her advantage there. Setting up to get to the 5. Pretty big power move. Using her toe hooks to keep her sucked on. Oof.
Just can't keep her grip, but she did get to that 5-point zone.
Taking a moment to reassess what just happened. Plenty of time still. Wants to make sure she figures it out on the ground so then she can execute it when she's back onto the boulder problem. Grabbing that brush again. The first hold that she's brushing that's on that volume, that gray shape you see on the wall, is very small. And it's also a dual textured hold, so part of the hold is shiny and the other part has a place where there's some friction.
Second attempt for Sienna Kopf on problem 4.
Nice reach to that pinch hold. Only where her fingers are is there friction on that hold. Where her thumb is, that's where there's the slippery texture. Back onto the 5. Needs to figure out.
Just can't hang on as she was looking to line up for a move to that 10-point zone.
Really good idea there by Sienna Kopf to try and bring her foot into where her hand is, looking like she was going to try to do a hand-heel match where she brings her heel into where her hand is. That way she can suck herself into the boulder a bit more to then give her power to generate to that number 10 zone.
Sienna Kopf is not in contention right now to win. However, remember, points for the U.S. national team overall are on the line here in this event. So every point and every position on the leaderboard matters for these climbers.
Exactly. The better placement they can get at this competition, the better off they are in continuing their season.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Attempt number 3 for Sienna Kopf here on the 4th and final problem of the final round.
Come on, Cece.
Getting back onto that pinch hold, using her toe to keep her on the wall. Onto the 5, gonna try to bring her left foot in here. She gets her left foot heel. See if she can make something happen here.
And once again, the grip just not staying true for Sienna Kopf as she looks to move over to the 10-point zone. 4th attempt for Sienna Kopf on problem 4.
Definitely one of the more powerful boulders, so the athletes are getting more tired on it. Really struggling to hang on there as her body pulls her off of the wall.
Sienna Kopf thanks the crowd for their support, and her competition is done, and she will wait and see and find out where she winds up on the overall leaderboard and how many points she will earn as far as qualifying for the U.S. national team overall are concerned.
And here comes one last time, Margo Hayes.
And that will bring out Margo Hayes for the final time.
Climbers, you may begin climbing
Hayes
now.
coming into this problem with 59.9 points.
Margo taking a moment to brush the boulders. This is another boulder problem where a lot of the skills that she has in her wheelhouse will serve her well. Really good with body tension, really good footwork, and body control. Taking another second just to make sure she knows exactly what she wants to do.
Hayes was in 3rd place overall after problem 3, now in 4th place. First attempt for Margo Hayes on problem 4.
Nice start for Margo. Easily getting to the pinch hold. Bicycle move there with her feet where she presses with one against the hold and then toe hooks with the other, gets her foot up. So much flexibility. One of her many skills. trying to figure out how she can match. Now she's set up perfectly to get to the 10.
And Hayes is on to the 10 and now trying to work her way over to the 15. If she can top this on her first try, that will move her into the top spot on the overall leaderboard and really put the pressure on Ashima Shirishi and Alex Johnson, as they have yet to climb.
From the sound of the crowd, Margot knows that she has the high point. She knows that it's important for her to get through this on her first try, eyeing up the jump.
Hayes has a right hand and cannot save it.
Really good effort there from Margo Hayes. Just flying off on that finishing hold. Eyes up the Waco hole. Amazingly able to get her hand in there. Lots of precision there, but just can't hold the swing. Gonna have to make minor changes in order to send this boulder problem.
At least 15 points for Margo Hayes right now, and that will be good enough to put her in the overall lead. But remember, Ashima Shirishi and Alex Johnson still have yet to climb this problem.
Margot's taking a few more breaths. She knows it took a lot of energy to get as far as she did on her first attempt.
Second attempt for Margo Hayes on problem 4.
Margot really using all of her technical skills to get her through this tricky beginning and middle section of the boulder. Fell off on her first attempt with one hand on the finish hold, looking to get back up there. Able to get back on the 10. This is where her sport climbing experience will come into play, where she can rest just a little bit and really be set up nicely to have all the power she needs to get to that 25 top hold.
Hayes trying to add to the 15 points that she has already received, getting to that 15-point zone on her first attempt. Looking to put the pressure on the overall leaders here.
Not all climbers have the ability to kind of recover the way Margo Hayes is recovering right now on that hold. Getting to the 15. Gonna set up for this jump again.
Now one final move to the 25-point zone. 15 seconds to go. Hayes has a right and left hand there. Can she control it? She does. And Margo Hayes tops problem 4, and she is in the overall lead. Margo Hayes, the first climber to top problem 4, but the overall leaders still to come. Back inside the Deschutes County Fair and Expo Center is Margo Hayes on the right of your screen. Just became the first woman to get to the top of problem 4, and she is on top of the standings. 84.8 points, but Ashima Shirishi and Alex Johnson have yet to get to the wall. So Margo Hayes hoping she has done enough to end up on top of the podium here at the 2019 USA Bouldering Open National Championship. Alex Johnson will be the next climber to attack problem number 4.
Alex Johnson taking a couple moments to brush the holds, as we've seen most of the competitors do when they step out onto the floor.
After that exceptional performance.
While you're brushing the holds, it gives you a chance to also look the boulder over one more time. Even with the preview, it's good to know. It's kind of hard to remember exactly what you're gonna do on every boulder after a 2-minute preview on each one. So another glimpse is always a great way to set yourself up for success.
If Alex Johnson is able to top this problem, she would be the new overall leader.
Let's see that flash, Alex Johnson.
First attempt for Alex Johnson on problem 4. If she can get to the top, she would take over the top spot on the leaderboard from Margo Hayes.
And I'm sure she already knows that this boulder has been topped after hearing the crowd roar. Getting in a nice position to set up for the move to the 10 zone. just gonna need to move her right foot in there, I think. And definitely possible to do it this way, but I think she'd be set up better if she could get her right foot there. Gonna do it anyway.
Alex Johnson through to the 10 and now needs to move to her right to get a hold of that 15-point zone, and she is there. So Alex Johnson flirting with a perfect run here on problem 4 that would put her in the overall lead.
This kind of dynamic movement is something she's good at.
Right hand is there.
No problem.
There's the left hand. A flash for Alex Johnson. 25 points, and she is the new overall leader.
Alex Johnson worked her way through this boulder with such finesse, looked completely comfortable the entire time. Definitely a style of climbing that she's really good at. Really good body control, able to get into the 10. Not too difficult of a move for her to get to the 15. And this kind of jump move is something that Alex excels at. I was not worried at all as she was getting ready to jump to this Waco hold. Sticks it one hand, able to match, and extremely excited to be topping the 4th boulder problem in this finals round.
And Alex Johnson will now sit and wait as she has overtaken Margo Hayes, who is on the right of your screen. Alex Johnson on the left. Alex Johnson, your new overall leader, and Claire Burfine, the 5th climber to take on women's problem 4.
Claire shaking out a little bit to get ready to attack boulder number 4.
First attempt for Claire Burfine on problem 4, looking for her 3rd top of this final round.
Claire moving nicely into the pinch hold with her left hand, setting up a bicycle here. Oh, switching just to a toe hook. Trying to get into the number 5 hold. Using her toes to hold her into the wall. Looking to make room on that right hand to bring her heel in very nicely. Gonna easily make it into the 10 with that setup.
Burfine has a hold of the 10 and now over to the 15.
Looks like
saw Alex Johnson flash this boulder, and Burfine is flirting with a perfect score herself.
Setting up for the jump.
Right hand for Burfine, she controls it, and the left hand, a flash for Claire Burfine, and 25 points.
Really great climbing there by Claire Burfine. Unfortunately, do not think she'll be able to catch Alex Johnson, but she will move up in the rankings.
She was 29.9 points behind Alex Johnson, so yeah, she cannot catch her in the overall standings, but what a performance from Claire Burfine.
Extremely great performance from Claire. Sets up for this jump, hits it nicely. Her left hand actually slipped, but she was able to control the swing anyway.
Claire Burfine topping 3 of the 4 boulders here in the final round, and 1 climber remains, and that is Ashima Shirishi. As these 5 women are all through, and it's Alex Johnson on the left of your screen, who right now is your current leader with 89.4 points. Ashima Shirishi comes into this final problem with 65 points, meaning that Shirishi is going to have to top this final boulder in order to win this competition. There's a look at where we stand right now. Is Shirishi the only woman who has not gone after problem number 4 currently with 65 points. And again, overall standing here matters as well, as these women are trying to pick up points that will help them qualify for the U.S. national team overall. And here comes Ashima Shirishi, the final climber to take on problem 4. Her family looking on.
Climbers, you may begin climbing now.
Ashima taking a second to look at the boulder. Definitely needs a top in order to win. She has a little bit of room for error because she can have 5 falls and still win. But of course, she's going to want to try to get this done as fast as possible.
First attempt for Ashima Shirishi on problem 4. If she tops it, she will win.
Let's go.
Ashima's definitely capable of getting a top on this boulder problem.
She was looking for that first place finish.
Nicely into the bicycle there to set up to get to the 5. Just needs to be able to generate here. My guess would be that she tries to bring her left or right foot in where her hand is in order to easily make it to the 10 zone. Bringing that left foot in, showcasing that flexibility that she's known for. Bringing her right foot in, getting to the 10, no problem. Setting it up to try to end this round with a flash.
That's what remains between Ashima Shirishi and a national championship. She has to get to the 15 and then over to the 25. Safely to the 15. One movement remains as Alex Johnson, our current overall leader, looks on.
Setting up for the jump. It's going to be a little big for her.
Shirishi has her right hand there, and Ashima Shirishi is your 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering National Champion.
Ashima was able to read that boulder problem extremely well, showcasing so many of the skills that make her such a phenomenal boulderer, sport climber, and all-around rock climber. She's never won an open bouldering national title. She's won many youth, but this is the first open bouldering national title for her, so I'm sure she's extremely excited.
Ashima Shirishi, your 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Champion. The women are done, and it's Ashima Shirishi in dramatic fashion. The men coming up next. The women's final is over, and it's Ashima Shirishi who is your 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Champion. A total of 90 points. She flashes the final 3 problems and edges out Alex Johnson by 0.6 points. Ashima Shirishi is with Megan Martin.
Ashima, you climbed so amazing all weekend, and I know at the Combined Invitational, your performance wasn't exactly how you wanted it to end. So how does it feel to walk away with a win here at Bouldering Nationals?
I'm incredibly happy, and I did not really expect this to happen because bouldering can be really tricky for me, and you know, I'm like, lead is more of my main discipline, but I'm so happy.
That's amazing, and I know you're living in Tokyo now, so how does it feel knowing that the Olympics are going to be there, and I mean, after winning this, you're in a better position to possibly make that overall team, so what are your feelings towards that?
I guess the Olympics is one of my main goals, obviously, and it feels great to have like family there, and training there has been really cool, so I'm really excited for what's in the future.
Well, thank you so much, and we're really excited for what's in your future too. Congratulations.
Ashima Shirishi faced 14 problems this weekend. She got to the top of 12 of them. The men coming up next as we look to crown another national champion. Back inside the Deschutes County Fair and Expo Center as the men are now on the floor previewing their 4 problems. Drew Ruana in the white top
So as long as you know your name, you'll know that it's you.
is someone I know you expect to do very well here.
Definitely expect for Drew Ruana to continue with his amazing weekend of climbing. He's been on every day and actually has gotten better and better. He started off well in the qualifier, and then in the semifinal today, he was absolutely on point. So I expect him to have a lot of success here today in the final.
Nathaniel Coleman is someone who very well could have been the top qualifier, but just a fraction of a point behind Ruana coming into this finals.
Nathaniel is also having an amazing weekend, and he has won Open Bouldering Nationals 2 times already. And actually, the last 2 years, he has not fallen at all. He's flashed all 4 boulder problems, so you can never count out Nathaniel Coleman.
Nathaniel Coleman, Drew Ruana, and the 4 other finalists will go in reverse order based on how they qualified. Ruana being the top qualifier will go last, and Sean Bailey will lead things off. The men have 2 minutes to preview each boulder. What can you get accomplished in that small amount of time?
2 minutes is a nice chunk of time to, you know, get a feel of what you need to do. You can kind of get a feel of the diversity of the boulder. So when you're in the qualifying round and the semifinal round, you just don't know what you're going to get from boulder to boulder. So this way, you step out, you know that boulder number 1 is a steep boulder, for example, and you know that you're going to need a lot of energy there. So you've got to be really smart with your tries. And then maybe if your next boulder is a slab, you can, you know, push it a little more because you're not going to use as much energy as you do on those overhanging climbs. So you can kind of just have a little bit more of a strategy going into that final round.
The men will use every second available to them to get a good read on these boulders. We'll be back with the final round when we return. The men continuing to preview the final 4 boulders here at the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship. Of course, a national championship is the main thing that is at stake in this event, but also the same thing that was at stake for the women. These men trying to finish as best as they possibly can overall in this event to earn points to get them a spot on the U.S. national team overall, which is basically the first step towards getting yourselves to Tokyo in 2020 and the Summer Olympics.
Only one of these men currently has a spot on that team, and that's Zach Galla, who is feeling the holds on male number 3 right now. Even though he has a spot, more points are better for him as well, so he's going to be looking to get as high of a placement as he possibly can. In order to be able to compete on the World Cup circuit, you need to be on that team. So it's very high stakes here for these men as they are looking at problem number 3. They're able to touch the start holds, but the start holds only. Can't come off the ground at all, but they can feel those holds as they talk to each other to figure out exactly what they want to do on the boulder problem. Of course, people will do them differently a lot of times because we have people of different heights. Everybody has different strengths when it comes to climbing, different styles. So being able to talk through it is nice, but it doesn't mean that they're all going to do it the same way.
And that's one thing I think some people who might be new to the sport might find surprising is these men are competing against each other, yet they're out there talking things over with one another.
That's really one of the things I love most about the climbing community in general. There is a real sense of community and just support from climbers everywhere. I mean, you go climbing outside and you can meet people that you've never met before and then, you know, climb with them on a boulder for a few hours and feel like you walk away with a friend, because this community is just so welcoming and so supportive, and that's always been something that I've really loved about this community overall.
Final 6 men going through problem 3, and their time is up, and now they will move on to problem 4.
Looks like they're headed to boulder number 4, which means
earlier in the day we were able to speak with Brad Weaver, who is the chief route setter for this event, and it is clear that this final boulder is going to be a challenge for these 6 men. It's the North Face route reveal.
Here we are on one of the men's finals boulders. It's a gymnastic dynamic test piece. We're here to kind of showcase the gymnastic movement on the boulder to the crowd and for the competitor. So we're here to see route setter Garrett try the moves. We'll see how he does. So the idea here is that he's going to carry his momentum throughout this in-cut start hold. Hopefully he doesn't have the ability to stop on the first hold, and he has to carry through to the second and third. 1, 2. That was really close. That was super exciting. So he's starting. The idea is he has to generate his momentum in order to gain the second hold, and then hopefully he carries his movement through to the following hold. Oh, it doesn't look like he did so well there. Grabs the first hold. Ah, it was really close. 1, 2. Oh, man. So 1, 2. Wow. And then the third hold. That was really cool. 1. Wow. 1, 2, 3. And you did it.
And thankfully, no Garretts were harmed during the making of that video. Man, they put him through the ringer.
They really did. And I mean, when the route setters set at these competitions, they actually set the finals boulders first. So after he did that, he actually had to then continue to set all week and forerun, which means the route setters try the boulders to make sure that they're the right difficulty for these climbers all week. So very difficult there for Garrett Greger. But as you can see, that section of the climb, Garrett's watching the men
and he is upright,
preview that boulder.
Looking like he is no worse for the wear, fortunately.
But that section is definitely going to be very difficult, and you know, we're going to see some exciting movements, leg swinging, probably some good falls, and hopefully some success on that boulder problem.
Preview time is up, and now the men head backstage. They will not be able to watch each other climb. They won't be able to glean any hints from another climber's performance, and Sean Bailey will be the first man on men's problem 1.
Although they can't watch anybody climb, the crowd is a good indicator to how other people are doing. So when you hear a big roar, it's likely that someone topped the boulder, so it kind of adds pressure. Coming out first, like Sean Bailey is kind of a great place to be, because everything you do is new to the crowd. So the crowd will help you kind of keep that momentum as you're climbing up on the boulder. Hopefully make your way to some success. Sean Bailey just taking a moment. Whenever he turns around, that's when his clock starts.
Make some noise, please. Here's Sean Bailey kicking us off for the men's half of the competition.
Bailey sizing up men's problem number 1. First attempt for Sean Bailey on men's problem number 1. His wingspan of +3, meaning that it is 3 inches longer than his 5'6" height.
And 5'6" is kind of on the smaller side for the men's field, so that +3 wingspan will be really helpful. Setting up in this stem, trying to reach over to the actual textured part of that hold. That white part is extremely slippery, but underneath where he's grabbing is textured, so he's able to keep his body close to the wall and hold on.
Bailey moving over to that 15-point zone, and then it's a straight shot up to the 25-point hold.
This is a really cool move where you'll have to use your thumb in order to match on that finish hold.
And no problem for Sean Bailey as he flashes problem 1, a perfect score of 25 points.
This boulder problem didn't really give him much difficulty. The one-legged squat stand-up done with ease, finds his balance position to then bring his left hand in and match that boulder with a nice flash of boulder number 1.
Here comes Madi Hong, make some noise.
Madi Hong will be up next.
It's really exciting to see Madi Hong out here. I don't think he's done a competition actually at all in about 3 years.
Attempt number 1 for Madi Hong on problem 1.
Really nice to see him back on the competition scene. He's been focused a little more on outdoor climbing and also filmmaking. So it's cool to see him here in the final. He's always been a talented climber, just trying to work his way through this section. He's quite taller than Sean Bailey, so he's gonna have to find a different body position and balancing spot in order to stand up to get to that 10 zone.
Here's attempt number 2 for Madi Hong on men's problem 1, 5'11" from Boulder, Colorado, and a wingspan that is 3 inches longer than his height.
Madi's just trying to find how he can get stood up on this giant black trapezoid looking volume here.
He is off.
At 5'11", it might be a little more difficult for him to stand up than some of the shorter competitors. That's one of the coolest things about climbing is there's obviously different heights, so people have to adapt to their height and figure out how they can do things with, you know, the height that they're given.
Approaching the halfway point of this 4-minute window. Third attempt for Madi Hong on men's problem number 1.
Really,
one of the taller athletes here in the finals at 5'11" and a wingspan 3 inches longer than his height.
really needs to get into this 10 zone because he currently has a 0. Has plenty of time to figure out how to get up there. Tried a different approach on that attempt by trying to sit on the right volume to shift his weight a little and find that balance point.
This problem with no 5-point zone. Fourth attempt for Madi Hong here on men's problem 1, and he slips right off the bat.
Madi definitely getting a little frustrated as that clock counts down. He is a seasoned competitor and climber.
Fifth attempt now for Madi Hong on men's problem number 1. Still struggling with just the initial part of that ascent.
Maybe be a good time to brush the start holds a little, as his feet have slipped quite a few times here as he tries to make his way up into that number 10 zone.
Come on. Come on.
Attempt number 6 for Madi Hong on men's problem 1, and he gets to that 10-point zone.
Come on, Madi, stand.
Really important for Madi right there to get points. Wasn't able to continue progressing, but the 10 will be definitely helpful.
Attempt number 7 now for Madi Hong on men's problem 1.
Trying to use his heel this time to get up into the 10 zone.
10 seconds.
There is no 5 zone on this boulder, so the 10 is really important here. Looks like he's in a better position now. He needs to move quick, but if he can get to the 15, that'll help him out a lot.
Time.
Madi Hong just cannot get there, so a disappointing start for him, but he does get to that 10-point zone.
They're wasting no time at all. Here comes Dylan Barks.
Dylan Barks is up next.
Dylan Barks is another climber who took a little break from competing. Oftentimes with climbing, since there is outdoor climbing as well, not everyone is focused on competitions all the time.
First attempt for Dylan Barks on problem number 1, 5'9" from Ann Arbor, Michigan, and a wingspan 2 inches longer than his 5'9" height.
Dylan got into that press on the number 10 zone with ease, able to use his heel hook when he started. Now walking across this volume with a lot of caution. Though it's a big hold, it's very easy for your feet to slip. Getting into that more secure position, setting up to get to the 15.
Very nice, Dylan. Come on.
Dylan Barks was able to touch 15. He does need to show control to get credit for it. It was just one hand, and now he's got to get both hands on that 25-point zone. Looking to flash this problem and get to the top on his very first try.
Standing up nicely here.
There he goes.
Thundercling, as they call that.
And Dylan Barks, 25 points as he flashes problem 1. 3 climbers down, 3 to go, as we are in the opening stages of the men's final. The 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship is brought to you by The North Face, inspiring and enabling exploration since 1966. A beautiful Central Oregon sunset behind the Cascade Mountains. We are in the Deschutes County Fair and Expo Center as Zach Galla will be the 4th man to take on men's problem 1 so far. Dylan Barks and Sean Bailey both flashing this problem for a perfect score of 25, and it was Madi Hong getting to the 10-point hold. First attempt for Zach Galla
Let's see that flash.
on men's problem number 1. Same height as his wingspan, out of Sewanee, Georgia, just 18 years old and playing with some house money, as he has already qualified for the U.S. national overall team, courtesy of his win a couple weeks ago at the combined competition in Salt Lake City.
Zach is definitely in a great position because the pressure is off a little bit, although I know he would be extremely excited to become a national champion. So though he's in a better, less stressful position, having already been on the team, he's really looking to walk away with a win here. He was having a bit of trouble trying to figure out how to stand up on the start on his first attempt. Just needs to find the right body position.
Attempt number 2 for Zach Galla here on men's problem 1. The 18-year-old from Sewanee, Georgia, with a wingspan that is equal to his height at 5'7".
Zach able to quickly get to the 10 zone on his second attempt, trying to figure out how he can get into the good part of that hold because only part of it has texture.
Maybe going a little too quickly over to that 15-point zone, and he is off.
Definitely needs to go with a little more static or slower and more controlled approach. Focus more on walking his feet and emphasizing the use of his footwork to get to that other volume hold.
Let's juice him up a little bit. Get him up this thing.
Third attempt for Zach Galla here on men's problem number 1. He has already qualified for a spot on the United States national team overall, thanks to his win a couple of weeks ago in Salt Lake City at the USA Climbing Combined Invitational.
Zach just tried to use a dynamic approach again to get to that volume when he really needs to walk his feet as far right as he can on the volume in order to slowly get in to that dual text volume hold to make his way to the 15.
Third attempt for Zach Galla on men's problem number 1, trying to become the third man to get to the top of this opening problem.
Much better beta for this move, able to move slowly in here, gets the 15. Needs to figure out the right position to set up for this thundercling move. Barely can reach it, but he can reach it.
Right hand, left hand for Zach Galla, and he tops problem number 1.
Feel good about that one,
A flash would have definitely been better since this boulder problem has been flashed, but topping this problem keeps him in the game, able to get both hands on that volume, get out into the 15-point hold. Really has to stand up and reach for this. He's kind of at his at his full extension, but he's able to do it and make a top on that first boulder.
And now it's Nathaniel Coleman's turn on problem number 1.
Nathaniel has yet to fall in a final in the last 2 years.
First attempt for Nathaniel Coleman, the 22-year-old out of Murray, Utah. 6 feet tall, but a 6'2" wingspan.
Starting off on this boulder problem nice and smooth.
Looking good, bud.
Slowly walking his feet over, trying to find that right position to where he can release the left hand and get into this volume. Gets a pretty good grip on it. In a nice position to make his way to the 15. Just has to get that right foot up. There he goes.
Nathaniel Coleman on his first attempt on men's problem 1, looking to get to that 15-point zone and then straight up to the 25.
Just needs to get his left hand in that right position and now flip it. Really nicely done by Nathaniel Coleman. He just needs to stand up, try and keep that body tension without falling out. Ooh, goes with his left hand.
Flirting with the flash, and he will get it. 25 points for Nathaniel Coleman. A perfect opening run for him on men's problem 1.
Nathaniel Coleman trying to continue his no fall in finals streak here.
Let's bring out Drew Ruana.
And that will give way to our final competitor here on men's problem 1, Drew Ruana, the top man out of the semifinal round that was held earlier today.
Drew started this round in the first place qualifying position, and I can tell you for sure that this man...
First attempt now for Drew Ruana, 19 years old, out of Redmond, Washington.
Always ready to bring it. Come on.
Standing up really nice and smooth here. Slowly walking his feet over. Just needs to get to that good part. Ooh, losing his balance.
Slip for Ruana. He will not flash this problem. We have seen 3 men do that already. 4 of the 6 have gotten to the top. Ruana trying to make that number 5. Second attempt for Drew Ruana on men's problem 1.
Drew back into the position where he was on his first attempt, trying to be a little smarter here, making sure he's in a steady position before he fully commits to that volume. Oof, nice save there. That left side of the volume where he's squeezing is completely slippery. He just made that section of the boulder a lot harder than we've seen any of the other men in the competition do it.
Has the 15 and now needs to stand up and control the 25 with both hands.
Needs to get a little bit higher up on his feet in order to be in that right position, to get his thumb pressed up there. He really just needs his thumb there.
Has his left hand, his right hand, and Ruana does it. He tops men's problem 1.
Barely getting the tip of that finger onto the mat.
3 problems are left as Drew Ruana gets to the top of problem 1. Action continues here in Oregon when we return. Back inside the Deschutes County Fair and Expo Center as we are through 1 problem of 4 in the men's final round, and we have a 3-way tie for first place as Coleman, Barks, and Bailey all flash. Problem 1 getting to the top on their first try, and it's Drew Ruana and Zach Galla, the other 2 men who are able to top that opening problem. Sean Bailey will be up first on men's problem 2.
Men's boulder number 2 is a very different style than problem number 1 that they were on. This is going to be a more dynamic boulder from the start, and then there will be some technical movement and some finger strength necessity.
First attempt for Sean Bailey on problem 2, and he's going to abandon that immediately. And asking the judges if this has not been established yet.
You have to make sure you have 2 hands and your feet on in order to start. And you can't jump into things. You have to show that you have established. Setting up for the jump here.
Attempt number 2 for Sean Bailey on men's problem 2, coming off that perfect performance in problem number 1 that earned him 25 points, and on to the 5-point zone, and now trying to make his way up to 10.
Able to do that second move static instead of having to jump, which will save him some energy. Now the more technical part as he makes his way, wrestling with these volumes. Really wild foot cut there, but able to control. Now he's on the 10.
Bailey, a great fight to hang on. He has to go straight up to get to 15 and then over to his right.
Using a knee bar there to keep himself sucked into the wall. Set up nicely to now jump to the finish.
Has his right hand on, and Sean Bailey for the 2nd straight time gets to the top.
Really nice climbing from Sean Bailey. Unfortunate first attempt wasted, but able to redeem himself and make his way through the boulder problem with no problem. Holding on by being able to flip that left hand and keep him sucked into the wall with that wild swing, gets that left hand on, sets up for the jump. uses his foot to stop him from swinging into the wall, controls the finish, and walks away with his second top of the round.
Madi Hong will be up next after Sean Bailey, for the second straight problem, gets to the top.
Madi really needs to get a top here. Definitely a boulder problem I think he could do well on. He's also a very good sport climber, and these kind of moves are definitely in his wheelhouse.
First attempt for Madi Hong on men's problem 2. He was the only climber not to get to the top of problem 1, so he needs to score some points here to keep himself in contention in an early slip.
Madi chose to go with his right hand. I think the left hand makes it a little easier to come into that number 5 zone.
Attempt number 2 for Madi Hong on men's problem 2, and he is successfully over to that 5-point zone.
Madi decided to do a more dynamic movement by jumping into that 5 zone. Gets his left hand on the volume here, but that's not the 10. The 10 is actually on that small blue hold that he now has, making his way through these powerful and technical body tension specific moves to get to that tiny little crimp. Comes up a little short.
Slipping on his attempt to get to that 15-point zone. Now going to the brush. Madi Hong needs a really good performance on this problem after he was the only climber to not get to the top of problem number 1.
He's definitely capable of topping here. The move that he fell on his previous attempt, one way to correct it would be to make sure he opens up his hips a little more so that when he tries to get to the small crimp, he gets there, he gets high enough on it in order to actually hit the friction part of the hold, because there is a very slippery part that won't help him hold on.
Third attempt for Madi Hong on men's problem 2 as he makes his way over to that 5-point zone.
Come on, y'all stay with him. Let's stay with him the whole time.
Made it through this section pretty easily on his previous attempt. Has to cut his feet and then really stay tight here. Needs to rock up on this foot to get high enough. Oh, misses. Aims a little too high and misses the actual crimp hold on that volume.
Madi Hong a little bit behind the 8 ball now, is again the only climber not to get to the top of problem number 1. Has to find a way to score some points here on problem 2 to keep himself in contention for a spot on the podium.
He still has plenty of time to get back up there. He just needs to make sure he's resting enough, which he's currently doing a good job of resting, because this angle is unforgiving. Your body is engaged the entire time, and you need every ounce of energy to make your way up the boulder problem.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Fourth attempt for Madi Hong on men's problem 2. Has the 5 now, looking to get a hold of that 10-point zone. Inside a minute to go in his 4-minute window.
Looking a little tired, just needs to be a little more precise on this movement here. Gets it, definitely has enough time to finish. Needs to get his left heel up. Oh, unfortunately slips on the slippery part of that tiny little crimp.
Not a lot of time for Madi Hong. Has to get himself back on the wall. Just 30 seconds to go.
He wants some more action.
Attempt number 5 for Madi Hong here on men's problem 2. And he is going to bow out. So Madi Hong 2 problems and unable to get to the top on either one so far. And that will bring out Dylan Barks.
Here comes Dylan Barks.
Barks, one of the 3 men to flash problem number 1.
And earlier in this competition, in the qualification round, Dylan Barks was actually the only person to do men's qualifier number 2, proving that he deserves to be in this competition and in this final.
You know Dylan's in that flash.
First attempt for Dylan Barks on problem number 2, looking to stay perfect.
Really nice execution there on that jump. setting the heel in. Has to move pretty quick through this next section. It's really powerful. And you need to try and keep all of your limbs on. Quick release, able to get to that 10 zone.
Barks looking at the 15-point zone and gunning for his second straight flash.
Trying to get to that 15.
Can't keep his left hand on the 15-point hold.
Where his right hand was, it is a small crimp hold that he actually just slipped off of. I believe we would call that more of a slimper. It's kind of a mix between a sloper hold, which is usually hard and slippery to hold on to, and a crimp hold. It's just not as in-cut, so you can't fully bear down on it with your hands. You kind of have to keep your hand open, making it harder to continue to have control of the hold.
And that's a look at the target that he's trying to grab onto on that 15-point zone at the top there.
It's basically just a little bit better than the actual volume. It's just a little more surface area to grab onto, but not that helpful.
Second attempt for Dylan Barks on men's problem 2. Looking to get to the top for the second straight time here in the final round.
Nicely through that jump again. Setting up for that release. Brings it back in really quickly. Needs to move efficiently through this section.
And now another slip for Dylan Barks.
Dylan keeps looking at his fingers. Hopefully he's not bleeding, but those holds are not forgiving. They're extremely abrasive. And after climbing on this texture all weekend, your skin gets very thin. And oftentimes climbers end up with bloody fingers by the time they get to the final. Such a small hole.
That has been the nemesis for Dylan Barks so far.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Third attempt now for Dylan Barks on men's problem 2. Inside a minute to go in his 4-minute window.
Dylan has gotten to basically the same spot on every try. Unfortunately, just slipping at the very end.
And once again, that's the move that has been giving him problems, as he is stuck on that transition from the 10 to that volume that holds the 15-point zone.
With Sean Bailey already having 2 tops, this would be an important top for Dylan Barks to stay in the running.
Fourth attempt now for Dylan Barks on men's 2.
Trying to move quickly as this clock counts down. Not sure he'll have enough time.
And he looks like he is out of energy. 3 men have taken on men's problem 2, 3 to go. Action continues here at the USA Climbing 2019 Bouldering Open National Championship. 3 climbers are through men's problem 2 here in the final round at the USA Climbing 2019 Bouldering Open National Championship. Sean Bailey is getting credit for a flash on problem 2. That gives him a perfect 50 points. Dylan Barks and Madi Hong, the other 2 men who have gone after men's problem 2. So Coleman, Ruana, and Gala, their attempts coming up. And it's Gala who's getting set for his ascent.
Zach will have just heard that announcement that Sean does get awarded the flash on boulder number 2, so this is more incentive for him to try and flash this boulder now as well.
First attempt for Zach Gala on problem number 2. He was able to get to the top of problem 1 on his 4th attempt.
Trying to swing. Wow. Beautiful pendulum swing there from Zach Gala. Looking for some style points along with actual points on this boulder problem.
They're gonna have to run a DNA test on this boy. Come on, Zach.
Working his way up into this volume, kind of taking a different approach than some of the other competitors have. Really gonna try to flash here. Getting into a better position now. Now he's gonna have to release. Trying to find the optimal position to release without flying off on that precarious volume.
Gala spending a lot of time up here trying to get a hold of that 10-point zone, and now the crowd trying to encourage him.
There he goes.
To keep moving up, and Gala has the 10, and now trying to make the move to the 15. And just can't find the handle.
Spending all that time trying to figure out that section, really fighting for the flash. Definitely zapped his energy a bit more. He's gonna trying to maneuver his way up into the 10. As you can see, there is barely any texture on that hold. It's mostly shiny. So he's only gonna use about 3 fingers on that hold and then comes up a little short trying to get to that next small crimp. Really needing to shake. That probably pumped him out a bit in his forearms, meaning his forearms have gotten a little bit fatigued there from trying to hang on for so long. Now that he knows what he needs to do, he knows he can get back up there. He just needs to make sure he finds enough energy to do so.
Attempt number 2 for Zach Gala on problem 2. Looking to top a problem for the 2nd straight time here in the final round. Now 1 minute to go.
Really nice swing action at the beginning there from Zach Gala. Just needs to get through this section a little quicker than he did on his first attempt to make sure he has enough energy to get through the rest of this boulder problem. Able to set up. He fumbles a bit, but is able to save it anyway. Sets the heel to come into the 15. Now he has to set up for the nice little hop and swing.
Gala has his right hand there, matches with his left, and for the 2nd straight time, Zach Gala tops a problem in the final round.
Really smart and efficient climbing there from Zach Gala. After a little hiccup on his first attempt, he was able to throw for that finish hold, no problem, fully in control. Celebrating early before he actually matches and gets the top on problem number 2, giving him 2 tops so far in this finals round.
Climbers may begin climbing now.
Nathaniel Coleman is up next. Just 2 climbers remaining here on problem 2.
Nathaniel hoping to flash this boulder after he knows that Sean Bailey has already, after hearing that announcement come through.
That's what we want, Nathaniel.
First attempt for Nathaniel Coleman on problem 2, perfect on problem 1.
Really nice dynamic movement there into that number 5 zone hold and then just floating to the other side of the volume effortlessly. Now he has to figure out how to wrestle through on these volumes, just trying to keep the tension with his legs and bring his feet up. Nice wrap there with his right hand, easily getting him to the 10. Setting up for this kind of punching move, using his knee there for a second, which is what we call a knee bar, just to chalk up for a second.
Coleman has a solid hold there with his right hand and now gets his left hand on 15. And looking to flash problem 2 if he can make his way over to that 25-point zone. Coleman does it. 2 for 2 for Nathaniel Coleman.
Nathaniel Coleman trying to keep that record of not falling in a finals. This is now the 3rd year where he is trying to flash all 4 of the finals boulders, and he is off to a great start with that amazing performance on boulder number 2.
Keeps him even with Sean Bailey, who also has flashed the opening 2 problems. And Drew Ruana will be the final man to take on problem number 2. First attempt for Drew Ruana on men's 2.
Really nice movement there from Drew Ruana. It's been really cool because every man has kind of done that first move a little different, just showing how diverse climbing can be. Not the slip that he wanted to have right there, kind of misread his body positioning there.
But it is early. Still more than 3 minutes to go in his 4-minute window.
Just needs to take a second and step back and kind of see if he can figure out a way to get through that section a little more fluidly.
And with both Bailey and Coleman flashing the opening two problems, there is not a lot of room for error for Drew Ruana right here. Attempt number 2 for Drew Ruana on problem 2. It took him 2 attempts to get to the top of problem 1, looking to match that now on problem 2.
Nicely through that first section of the boulder. Just needs to figure out the right way. Looking a lot better here on this attempt. Nice release, bringing the feet in. Now he can get to the 10. Punchy little move here. No problem.
Got to get his left hand over. Now gets credit for the 15. And Drew Ruana, if he can make it over to that 25-point zone, had his right hand on and his left hand slipped off. Now he has control, and Drew Ruana has topped problem 2.
Really close there for Drew Ruana. Almost had a slip as he tried to bring both hands up to that finishing hold. Able to save it, and another top for Drew Ruana.
2 problems remain for the men in the final round. Only 2 problems remaining for the men in the final round here, and Nathaniel Coleman and Sean Bailey tied with a perfect 50 points after 2 problems. We mentioned that Sean Bailey got credit for the flash on problem 2. The reason being is that he was called off on his first attempt because the judges thought that he put his hand on the wall where it was not supposed to be. Upon review, that was not the case. The head judge overruled that, and they gave him credit for the flash. Attempt number 1 for Sean Bailey on men's problem 3.
Really cool dynamic movement there. This angle of climbing is known as a slab. It's a lower angle, so oftentimes you can rely on your legs more, and you usually don't see that kind of dynamic movement. So really cool setting here done by the route setting crew. Sean Bailey just completely in form right now, making his way through this boulder problem all the way to the 15 already. Just needs one more move.
Sean Bailey looking for his 3rd straight flash, trying to stay perfect here in the final round.
Come on, Sean Bailey.
Inching closer to that 25-point zone. And he has it. 3 flashes for Sean Bailey and a perfect 75 points after 3 problems.
Sean Bailey is currently on fire after a rough start this weekend in the qualification and then barely making it into the final out of the semifinal. He is just crushing it right now.
Madi Hong is getting set to take the floor, and he has yet to top a problem here in the final round, getting to the 10-point zone both times on problems 1 and 2.
Got a thumbs up from the judge. Here comes Madi Hong.
Climbers, you may begin climbing now.
Madi could really use a top here. He is a very technical climber, so there's definitely a possibility to see that from him.
First attempt for Madi Hong on men's problem 3, looking for his first top of this final round.
At 5'11", he is a bit taller and able to just throw his leg and then do a press, a little less dynamic than we've seen this done by other competitors. Inching his way up, focusing on his footwork. In a nice stem position there. Still has to make his way to the 15. A little more of a committing move here. Nice balance there.
The 15-point zone up and to the left for Madi Hong.
Come on, man. Oh.
In the position he's in now, the 15 isn't really that good, but once he can fall into it on the left side, it'll be much better for him. So he just needs to figure out how to get into that better position on the 15 zone. Really shoulder intensive boulder problem. Lots of pressing and stemming.
Here's the second attempt for Madi Hong on men's problem 3.
Root setters are really giving a lot of diversity here in this round, as we just came from a very dynamic gymnastic boulder now into a Pressie, Stemi, slab boulder, where subtle movements are so key in order to find the right body position. Madi Hong doing a great job trying to figure out how to get in the proper position to get his foot up on the 10, which will set him up nicely to go to the 25.
He has the 15 and now just cannot hold it to get up to the 25.
So what's very unforgiving about this angle is any slight body slip and you can be off the wall. You can go from being in such a secure position, and then you could even just breathe too hard and kind of fall out. So it's really important to stay calm and keep your movements very subtle and cautious so that you don't mess up and just lose your balance.
Y'all think he's got it? I do too.
Attempt 4 for Madi Hong on men's problem 3 as he approaches just 1 minute remaining in his 4-minute window.
You have 1
Looking
minute
for
remaining.
his first top of this final round.
Come on. Stay steady.
Inching closer and closer to the top on every attempt, figuring out this boulder one attempt at a time. Obviously, always better if you can get it done in fewer attempts, but hopefully Madi's able to find that right body position, stay close enough to the wall to get to this 25 hold.
He has the 15, the crowd getting behind him, trying to will him up to that 25-point zone.
In a better position here.
Right hand is there, and Madi Hong just cannot get there.
Give it up for Madi Hong.
And he is going to call it. So the farthest he's gotten on any of the problems so far, as he got to that 15-point zone.
Here comes Dylan Barks.
Dylan Barks will be the next man on
Climbers
problem
may begin
3.
climbing now.
Barks flashed problem 1 and then got to the 10-point zone on problem 2.
Dylan taking a quick look here before he steps onto the boulder.
First attempt for Dylan Barks on men's problem 3.
Tries to go with more dynamic beta. Just came up a little short, trying to press up on that start hold with his left hand. Just needs to be a little more aggressive this time.
Attempt number 2 for Dylan Barks on problem 3.
Was able to get his arm straighter that time. A little more leg throw, and I think he'll be able to get into that dihedral there.
Give him a little bit more, crowd. Let's get him through. Come on.
Here's attempt 3 for Dylan Barks on men's 3.
Another cool climbing movement where the more times you try it, the more your body kind of learns it and you know what you need to do in order to make it work for you.
Had a great start as he was able to flash problem 1 for a perfect score of 25 points, but on problem 2 just getting to the 10-point zone. So he needs to score some points here to keep himself in contention.
Doing a good job of using those subtle movements. Oh, quick little off-balance bobble there. Taking a moment to brush the hold as it becomes more and more chalky and greasy because his feet are going there as well.
Come on, Dylan, get some.
Here's the 4th attempt for Dylan Barks on men's problem number 3.
Into that 10 zone again. Gonna have to try a little different way here. Oh,
just can't find his way through after that 10-point zone, but still plenty of time for Dylan Barks, who's looking for his second top of this final round, able to flash problem 1.
The dynamic movement he tried on his previous attempt looked promising. Definitely, possibly the way for him to do it.
5th attempt for Dylan Barks here on men's problem 3. 35 points after the first 2 problems.
If he's going to do it the dynamic way, I think he's going to need to inch himself up a bit more, doing that right now, just so that he can stand up a little more to throw himself into the 15. Looks like he might try to go more static by bringing that right foot in right now.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Gonna have to keep himself as close to the wall as possible to get to the 15. Almost does it.
Barks just cannot hang on. Now inside a minute.
Look into the crowd for some support.
Women's finalists now getting a chance to be spectators as Dylan Barks on his 6th attempt here on men's problem 3.
He's running out of time. Not sure it's enough time to top, but if he could get the 15, it would help, but not sure. Oh, he's gonna go again.
Attempt 7 for Dylan Barks on men's 3 as he's running out of time.
There you go, man.
10 seconds.
Getting a little more frantic here. He really needs to get to that 15.
Not going to happen for Dylan Barks. 3 climbers through problem 3. 3 remain. Final round of the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championships continues as Zach Galla comes onto the floor. He will be the 4th man to attempt men's problem number 3. Sean Bailey currently in the lead. He, Dylan Barks, and Maddie Hong have already gone through problem 3, and Bailey has been perfect so far. 75 out of a possible 75 points so far. Nathaniel Coleman, though, yet to go. Early slip for Galla on his first attempt. Attempt number 2 for Zach Galla on men's problem 3.
Zach Galla trying to throw himself into a split there. It may be better for him to be a bit more dynamic.
Here's attempt 3 for Zach Galla on men's problem 3. Has topped the first 2 problems.
Able to make that split work for him at the beginning of this boulder problem. Nicely into the 10. Another problem for the men where there is no 5 zone, so the 10 is extremely important to get to. Otherwise you could end up with 0. Trying to figure out exactly how he needs to get into this 15. Trying to press. Might need to do something a little different there.
Zach Galla running into a little trouble here on problem 3. He has topped the first 2. And given what Sean Bailey has been doing, he's going to have to get to the top here if he wants to stay in contention, at least for the win.
Definitely would put him in a good place just for the podium as well. Just to get another top. Good idea to be brushing because the men have spent a lot of time hanging out on those volumes because they have to figure out the right body position, so they're getting more and more greasy as we get through these finalists.
4th attempt for Zach Galla on men's problem 3, and slipping again early on as we have seen in 2 prior attempts.
Still has a lot of time.
Attempt number 4 for Galla on men's 3.
Getting back up into the 10.
Let's keep the juice.
Really needs to figure out how he can get to the 15 to then progress into the 25. Just shuffling his feet there, trying to stay low on this hold. Works well.
Attempt number 5 for Zach Galla. On men's problem 3, working his way to that 15-point zone. Now up to the 25, has his right hand there. Needs to match it with his left hand. And Galla will get it. Third straight top for Zach Galla.
Galla had a little fumble there on the 15, was able to save it, and then nicely get into the 25. A little unsure here with the match. Went with the tension move to just press, and then was comfortable enough after he matched to bring his hand all the way up to celebrate another top in this round.
Now it is Nathaniel Coleman's turn, who, like Sean Bailey, perfect through the first 2 problems. And he's going to need to flash this problem if he wants to stay tied with Bailey for the overall lead.
Both Nathaniel and Sean were on the podium at the Combined Invitational. So in the position they're in now, they're in a good place to keep accruing points to hopefully make that overall national team.
Come on.
First attempt for Nathaniel Coleman, and this will be the first time that he does not flash a problem here in the finals.
Come on, man, you're still in it. Give me some more.
Second attempt for Nathaniel Coleman on men's 3. Perfect through the first 2 problems, and since this is his second attempt, that will mean that Sean Bailey will be all by himself in the overall lead after this problem.
He was able to correct his mistake from his first attempt and throw his right leg into that right volume where it is right now with a little more power, which made him able to stand up into that corner a bit more. Unfortunately, he does have that fall now, but he's still looking to top because it's not over till it's over, so he needs to get a top here to stay fighting for that #1 spot. Really smooth movement, shoulder control into the 15.
Second attempt now for Nathaniel Coleman on men's problem 3, looking to get his 3rd straight top, flash the first 2 problems, and now onto the 15-point zone. If he gets to the 25-point zone, he will stay a 1/10 of a point behind Sean Bailey. Coleman has his right hand on that 25-point zone. Needs to get his left hand up there in order for it to count. And now resetting.
He knows how important it is to do this in as few tries as possible, so he's just trying to make sure he gets that right position.
And there it is, Nathaniel Coleman matching and topping for the 3rd time in this competition and keeping the pressure on Sean Bailey for the top spot on the overall leaderboard.
There has to be a little bit of relief having now fallen for the first time in 2 years in a final because there's no more extra pressure there. Really smart and cautious movement here as Nathaniel kept his body as close to the wall as possible in order to set himself up nicely to match this finish hold using his toe on the 10 zone.
Everything is still up in the air right now.
Here's attempt #1 for Drew Ruana.
Really nice movement into that number 10 zone. Both Sean Bailey and Drew Ruana were able to make that first move. First try. Just trying to subtly, oof, unfortunate slip there.
Ruana is off. He has gotten to the top of the prior 2 obstacles on his 2nd try.
Taking a few moments to brush those holds. Still plenty of time to figure out what he needs to do to get into that 15 zone.
Come on, Drew, let's see.
Here's attempt #2 for Drew Ruana on problem #3, having reached the top on the prior 2 problems.
This move into the 15 is a little tricky because there is a certain level of steadiness, but then also aggressiveness, which Drew Ruana just performed well. That needs to be made in order to make it into that 15.
Now trying to climb his way up to the 25-point zone, has his right hand on it, and matching with his left for the third straight time. It's 2 tries for Drew Ruana, and he will top men's problem 3. One problem remains for the men here at the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championships. Just one problem remains for the men here at the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship, at less than a point separating first from fourth. Sean Bailey has been perfect so far, flashing all 3 problems that he has faced. Coleman 2 flashes, and then it took him 2 attempts on problem number 3, just a 1/10 of a point behind that man, Sean Bailey, who's looking for a clean sweep and trying to earn 100 points here in the final round.
It is a very close competition right now between Sean Bailey and Nathaniel Coleman, but this boulder problem could create falls, because this first move, which is a very difficult triple clutch to catch, we saw this boulder earlier performed by Garrett Greger, and it is quite the feat.
First attempt for Sean Bailey on the 4th and final problem, been perfect so far here in the final round.
Sean Bailey doing the unthinkable here and actually sticking that triple clutch on the first try. The boulder is not over, but he is looking to have a perfect round here.
He's on to the 15.
Needs to figure out how to be in control to get to the 25.
Right hand is there. And Sean Bailey is perfect. 100 points in the final round.
Sean Bailey doing the unthinkable on this very difficult men's number 4 boulder problem. Almost fully paused on that first hold when he jumped to it, and able to execute that triple clutch. Clearly walking on air right now. He jumped to this. He actually paused here for a second and then able to regrip and then move his hands to the 2nd and 3rd hold, nailing the triple clutch, then fluidly making it through the rest of the boulder. A little slip up here before getting to the finish. You know he wanted it so bad, was able to reach to that 25 hold, bump his hand up, get 2 hands on, and he is our new national champion.
And with that, Sean Bailey wins the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship. And we still have 5 climbers to go on this 4th and final problem. 100 out of a possible 100 points, flashing all 4 of the problems here in the final round. And now it's Madi Hong stepping up. First attempt for Madi Hong on the 4th and final problem.
Madi almost able to fully control that first hold. I know the route setters didn't exactly want people to be able to fully stop on it, so the fact that he was not able to fully control it is definitely what they wanted.
Second attempt for Madi Hong, and just can't get the grip on that thing. And we saw an example of that earlier when we watched the video of the route reveal of this 4th and final problem. Here's attempt number 3 for Madi Hong on problem 4.
Still trying to fully pause and control that first hold instead of continuing his momentum to the left to stick the triple clutch. He definitely has plenty of time, but he's going to need to try something different in order to make this happen.
4th attempt for Madi Hong here on problem 4, and just can't make that transition. But picks himself up, and he's ready for another attempt.
With the movement with his right hand on the last attempt, he now knows what he needs to do.
Here's attempt number 5 for Madi Hong on problem 4, and makes it the farthest he's gotten so far.
Madi Hong has the right idea. He just needs to continue that momentum to one more hold. After he gets that second hold, he needs to move to the third hold in order to stop his momentum.
Attempt number 6 for Madi Hong on problem 4. And a nasty looking spill. Sean Bailey can't believe that one.
Oh.
One more look at the fall here from Madi Hong.
Kind of hits the blocked hold and kind of nosedives into the pad there. Luckily, he's okay. Taking a moment to pump up the crowd.
This is attempt number 7 for Madi Hong on this 4th and final problem, and he has the handhold, looking to get to that 10-point zone and over to 15.
The root setters intended a triple clutch, but Madi was just able to do a double clutch instead. And here he has a top, and he ends his round with his first top of the round.
A top for Madi Hong as he chucks the chalk bag at Sean Bailey. And the two of them are done as Madi Hong saves the best for last and gets to the top of problem 4 to close out his final round.
All right, boys and girls, next up we've got Dylan Barks.
And here comes Dylan Barks. He will be the 3rd competitor on this 4th and final problem. And even though Sean Bailey has locked up first place, remember, placement matters because points to qualify for the U.S. national team overall are up for grabs here. First attempt for Dylan Barks on problem 4. And the spills will be plentiful on this final problem.
Dylan taking another look at that jump. Sometimes it's not so obvious, so you need to take another look.
Attempt number 2 for Dylan Barks on problem 4.
Oh, really nice movement there. Used his momentum to get into that second hold. Kind of holding on too long to the second hold and kind of killing his swing to get into the third to stop his momentum and continue on through the problem.
There's attempt number 3 for Dylan Barks on problem 4, and that is short-lived.
After every attempt, Dylan is figuring out a little more and more about this jump. It's a very learned movement as he's getting closer and closer to sticking it. This triple clutch that is so difficult.
Attempt 4 for Dylan Barks on problem 4, and he is through that tricky first part and trying to get his way to the 10-point zone. He has it, and now over to 15. And then a final move up to 25. Right hand is there. Trying to match with his left, and Dylan Barks will top problem 4. But it's Sean Bailey who's wrapped up the top spot on the overall leaderboard, but we still have 3 climbers to go on problem 4. Halfway through the 4th and final problem, and it is Sean Bailey on the right of your screen who has locked up the national title. And now the battle for the podium and the battle for those valuable qualifying points for the U.S. national team overall is underway as Zach Galla on his first attempt here on men's problem 4.
Almost able to stick that triple clutch move on his first attempt. You could see as he was moving his hands from hold to hold, he was kind of figuring out what he needed to do as his body kind of pushed him through the movement. A little late in hitting that last left hand hold, but he should be able to figure out on this attempt.
Attempt number 2 for Zach Galla here on problem 4, looking to top every problem in the final round.
Definitely able to figure out that jump just after that first try because he was in such good positions. Now just going for that top here.
Has his right hand solidly on, and there's the match. And Zach Galla closes out his competition with a top on problem 4.
The men are really making this boulder look so fun. Just like swinging around out there as if they're on the monkey bars.
Now Gala can relax and watch the final two climbers. Nathaniel Coleman is up next. He has been nearly perfect in this round, flashing problems 1 and 2, and then it took him 2 attempts to get to the top on problem 3.
Everything you got, Nathaniel.
First attempt for Nathaniel Coleman on men's problem 4.
Able to make that triple clutch successfully on his first attempt. He's had 1 fall in this competition so far, and he's looking to make sure he doesn't fall again.
And Coleman closes it out in style and flashes men's problem 4.
Great climbing there by Nathaniel Coleman. This is a type of movement that he excels at so much, just using his momentum to get all the way into the triple clutch first try. No problems getting to the finish hold. Great way to end the round for Nathaniel Coleman, in a great spot right now.
Nathaniel Coleman thanking the crowd, and then joining his fellow competitors in the now spectators area. Drew Ruana, first attempt on men's problem 4, and just slipping as he makes that second movement, but up with a smile on his face.
Epic fall there from Drew Ruana. These falls are crazy, but everybody looks to be dealing with them all right. He just kind of hung on to that first hold a little too long, and it kind of killed that swing that should propel him through to the next couple of holds to complete the triple clutch. But it is a movement that is learned, and these climbers are so good at learning movements quickly, so he should be able to fix it here.
Attempt number 2 for Drew Ruana on the 4th and final problem, and is able to hang on.
Great quick fix there by Drew Ruana, setting up here to go for the top. In a great position with a nice heel hook. One hand.
Drew Ruana will top problem 4, and with that, the 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship is over, and it is Sean Bailey, who is perfect in the final round, who takes home the national championship, and we will hear from him when we return. The 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Championship is brought to you by The North Face, inspiring and enabling exploration since 1966. Well, how do you spell perfection? Well, here in Central Oregon, they spell it S-E-A-N-B-A-I-L-E-Y. Sean Bailey, 100 out of a possible 100 points in the final round, and he is your national champion, and he is with Megan Martin.
Thank you so much.
Sean, you had a perfect round today, flashing every boulder, but this weekend was kind of a rough start for you. You weren't looking like yourself in the qualification, and you narrowly snuck into the final. So how does it feel to not only have a perfect round, but also win the national championships?
It feels so good, yeah. I'm on top of the world, honestly. I don't even know what to say. Yeah, I had a rough start. I wasn't feeling as strong as I felt in the past, and you kind of just have to work with what you have. I felt like I wasn't able to give as many attempts as I have in the past, so I kind of had to use my energy wisely. And fortunately, in this final round, I was just able to do everything first try, and it didn't matter so much, like a little more rest, and yeah, it worked out.
And at the Combined Invitational, you were 3rd place, so winning this competition sets you up nicely to possibly be on that overall team. Are you looking forward to the possibility to be doing more World Cups this season and hopefully go for it in 2020 in Tokyo?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just rolling with it. It'd be cool to do some more World Cups. I've done them the past 3 years or so I definitely like the experience and love to keep going for sure.
Well, we're rooting for you, and thank you so much, and great job tonight.
All right, cool. Thank you, Megan.
Bye.
Sean Bailey, your 2019 USA Climbing Bouldering Open National Champion. For Megan Martin, I'm Sean Woodland. Thanks so much for being here with us in Oregon. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.